Chapter 161, Nurture and Practice. As Li Qi performed the secret method of clone, the blood on the Guyu ancient tree leaf began to boil like a pot of water. Bubbles raced across the surface, the crimson liquid spreading until it covered the entire leaf. With a muffled boom, the blood swelled and rose, forming a spherical bulge. The bubbles bloomed and burst, the sphere growing larger and larger until it became a blood orb 2 meters in diameter. The boiling subsided, only a few bubbles surfaced and quickly faded. It's done. Li Qi felt a thrill of triumph. The secret method of clone, available once his 9 revolutions Yuan heavy body refining method, basic chapter, reached perfection, had indeed been able to gestate a world lord rank Guyu ancient tree leaf. Carefully transferring the blood orb, which contained the gestating Guyu ancient tree clone, into his world ring, he calculated the clone will take 2 to 3 years to incubate. I just need to wait. Although he coveted the primordial chaos true spirit that might be obtained, Li Qi didn't want to risk anything during the gestation period. He postponed hunting chaos beasts. Instead, he would use the time to cultivate the secret method God Tree True Understanding and, since he had the demonic killer race skin, also practice instant shadow illusion body. Time and space essay can't come first, he thought. My comprehension of the space law is still weak. It's better to work on it after the clone is gestated. The clone's space law talent is 8 points. That's already high. Once it wakes, my own space law aptitude will get a big boost. His wood origin law talent was currently his strongest, so he decided to start with the first volume of God Tree True Understanding. Entering the virtual universe, he appeared in the study of Manor No, 115 in the Rain Phase Mountain original area. Using mind power, he summoned the first volume. The box was noticeably taller than the one for the first volume of Time and Space Essay, an indication there was more to it. That made sense. The first volume of Time and Space Essay explained the first image of the 9-universe chaos tablet, while the first volume of God Tree True Understanding explained the first and second images of the God Tree Chaos tablet, nearly covering the entire wood origin law. No wonder it was thicker. He whispered the name, staring at the 4 characters on the cover. A breeze brushed by and the study dissolved. He found himself in a jungle. Birds chittered, leaves rustled, a warm wind on his face. A resonant voice sounded in his ear. This is God Tree True Understanding, a secret method I created after observing the life God Tree. The vision faded, and Li Qi was back in the study, sober and alert. This concept is probably not much weaker than Time and Space Essay, he murmured, and opened the book. The first page held only 3 strokes, a tiny abstract blade of grass. Despite the simplicity, the image stirred something inside him. He saw a blade of grass pushing up from beneath a massive rock, tenacious and unyielding. The essence of the wood origin law flashed through his mind. He paused to memorize the feeling. The second page added 4 strokes, an abstract vine. At once, he envisioned an endless vine, forever growing and snaring whatever lay in its path. Could the original form of the endless vine be this? He wondered as he turned the page. The third page sketched a leaf, and from it came another concept, a set of mind energy weapon attack secret methods. 9 mind energy weapons cooperated, fusing into a long, sword-like strike that felt unstoppable. He recognized that style. He had seen such methods among the first image of the God Tree Chaos Tablet, which contained 36 concepts and 36 secret methods. As he read, Li Qi experienced moments of deep thought, sudden clarity, and puzzlement in equal measure. Days later, he closed the last page of the first volume. He had learned much, though many sections remained opaque. The book had answered some questions and raised new ones. He reminded himself that he also owned Green Vine Canon, which explained the God Tree Chaos Tablet more concretely. After I finish the first 3 volumes of Green Vine Canon, I can apply to comprehend the God Tree Chaos Tablet, he decided. Too many unresolved doubts weren't good. He summoned Green Vine Canon and, while rereading, practiced the moves he'd begun to comprehend. Several more days of cultivation passed. Comprehension, insight, and practice are one, he said softly. He had felt something missing while reading, practical verification. Now, with practice, those gaps were closing. Li Qi walked to the training room. In the center, a vine glowed green and snaked across the floor with a harsh hiss. He manipulated the endless vine, but his control was rough. His mind drifted, and his movements kept faltering. The vine shifted forms, changing rhythm, sometimes quick, sometimes slow, until suddenly it lunged like a predatory green snake, coiling, launching itself forward, sweeping with brutal speed. A smile broke across his face. "That's it," he commanded the vine, and it tore forward, burrowing into the ground like a hunting serpent. The wood-law power inside surged. Then, with a thought, the vine disintegrated and reformed into countless hair-thin filaments, each nearly invisible except for a faint green sheen. They stretched for tens or hundreds of meters. With a whoosh, they braided together into a colossal net spanning over 1,000 square meters. "This is the green vine pillar third move. Heavenly net," Lychee said, exhilarated. "Retract." The net shrank like a living thing. The filaments thickened as it contracted, reinforcing itself to prevent escape. It rolled into a ball and condensed into a green glowing sphere. Up close, the sphere was a weave of innumerable vines, layered and tough. He smiled. According to Green Vine canon, performing the third move meant his law comprehension was approaching Heavenly Bridge 4th level. In less than a month, his wood origin law progress had been astonishing. He tempered his excitement with caution. Comprehending laws only gets harder the further you go, he thought. He reflected on the World Lord rank, how it's the best period for rapid law comprehension, and how geniuses cultivated by the 5 great giants lingered there to deepen their foundations before becoming undying. The primordial universe was fair. The deeper the law inscriptions on one's core, the harder the core became to break without a high life gene level or profound secret methods. That is why only 100,000 or so king-level undying existed. The 9 revolutions Yuan heavy body refining method could break some limits, though. At the World Lord rank, my life gene level could reach 2,400. No, 2,048 times, he mused. Such a life gene level would rival many unique life forms. Still, with deep law comprehension and a hardened core, he could face Luo Feng's predicament, needing to create his own secret methods to break his core's shackles. He shook his head. "I'm thinking too far ahead. First, I need to pass my teacher's test and revive my elder brother." He had already passed the first and second levels of the God Tree Tongqian Bridge and earned 2 chances to comprehend a Chaos tablet. He had accumulated too many doubts, and resolving them by directly comprehending the God Tree Chaos tablet now made sense. With the answers and some consolidation, breaking through Heavenly Bridge 4th level would be manageable. Lychee exited the virtual universe and returned to reality. He placed his world ring, inside it the blood orb that housed the gestating clone, on his finger, opened his residence door, and set out for the City Lord's mansion. Universe Lords could sense what lay within a world ring, and Primordial Chaos City answered to a City Lord. Still, Lychee had reason to be unconcerned. His teacher, Ice Peak Lord, was the City Lord's junior brother. The City Lord would already know Lychee could perform the clone method once. He wouldn't be hauled in for questioning. If the secret method of clone had been a transferable talent or a fluke procedure, others might not care. But a legacy-bound secret method that could be shared would stir jealousy. Its value would reshape a race's future. Since Lychee's legacy was bound, its practical worth was far lower, which made him less worried. At the mansion, he followed the familiar path to the corridor where the 49 Chaos Tablets were kept. He bowed to the 3-eyed elder, Condeli. "Lord Candeli." "It's you," Condeli said, recognition in his tone. "Are you here to comprehend the God Tree Chaos Tablet?" "Yes, Lord Candeli," Lychee replied. "I passed the Heavenly Bridge 2nd level and have 2 opportunities to comprehend a Chaos Tablet." "Let me check." Condeli closed his eyes briefly, then nodded. "You do have 2 opportunities. At the moment someone is comprehending the God Tree Chaos Tablet, it will finish in just over a day." Lychee inclined his head, stepped aside, and waited. He sent a thought back into the virtual universe to connect with his family, settling himself for the brief wait. Entering the virtual universe to reunite with his family, Lychee heard the latest news. 13 had comprehended the domain in the stellar cultivation camp. With steady access to cultivation resources, he would at least become a sector lord in time. 19 still lacked the strength to enter the camp and was taking the Universe Mercenary Alliance assessment, striving to become a universe mercenary. After chatting a while, Li Qi bade them farewell and returned to his manor in the Rain Phase Mountain original area to continue cultivating God Tree true understanding in his study. One day later, his consciousness returned to reality. The bronze door of the God Tree Chaos Tablet's secret chamber, which had been sealed, was now open. "Everyone, come out!" Condeli growled from outside. A moment later, several heads poked through and people tumbled out, clutching their temples and glancing back warily at the Chaos Tablet, where chaotic airflow still swirled inside the chamber. When the others had left, Condeli nodded to Li Qi. "Go in." Li Qi bowed and stepped into the secret chamber, approaching the God Tree Chaos Tablet. Sitting cross-legged, he lifted his head and calmly began to study the first and second images on the tablet. As he worked through them, insights came, confusions eased, and his understanding of the wood origin law deepened. Time slipped by, and before he realized it, the 7 days allotted for comprehension had passed. "Everyone out! Everyone, come out!" The summons rang louder and louder in his mind until Li Qi snapped out of his trance, grabbed his head, and flew out of the secret chamber. Only after leaving the chamber did the pressure in his mind subside. He looked back at the tablet and thought, this session yielded a lot, but something still feels missing. The intervals between sessions are too short, my accumulation of law comprehension is insufficient, so only some confusions were cleared. After a curt farewell to Guardian Condeli, Li Qi left the city lord's mansion and headed back to his residence, strolling the broad avenues of primordial Chaos City while thinking, I need to build more law comprehension. Coming here so frequently wastes chances to accumulate depth. Back home, he checked his world ring and glanced at the Guyu ancient tree clone he had been nurturing. The blood sphere had grown a little, larger than it had been a few days earlier. At this rate, how long will it take to raise the clone? He mused, then sighed and left the ring. In his bound study, the green vine pillar floated at his side. Before this latest comprehension, he could already use the pill's second move, Heavenly Net, and now his grasp of the wood origin law had advanced even further. He thought, and the green vine pillar dissolved into countless slender green-blue vines, tens of meters long and finer than hair. They wove together into a massive net stretching over 1,000 square meters, blotting out the ceiling of the training room. The memory of his first challenge on the Heavenly Bridge returned. Then his law comprehension had been nearly at the 3rd layer, and he'd been unable to break through a black-clad guardian who favored the endless vine defense. Not now, he thought. My comprehension has reached the 4th layer of the Heavenly Bridge. Passing the 3rd layer will be effortless. The enormous net contracted quickly and condensed into a greenish-blue light sphere that flew into Li Qi's hand, radiating intense wood origin law power. I'll go challenge the Heavenly Bridge, he decided, and teleported out. He arrived at the Heavenly Bridge's central square in a flash of light. Guardian Bafen raised an eyebrow. Li Qi, he said, surprised. He's challenging the bridge again, only a month since his last try? Has he really made more progress? Bafen warned him that someone was currently attempting the Godtree Tongqin Bridge, so Li Qi might have to wait. Not long after, a competitor failed and was whisked away as a white light. There's no one on the Godtree Tongqin Bridge now, and Bafen said, you may enter. Word had already spread. Li Qi's sudden rise had attracted attention. Many powerful figures told Bafen to notify them whenever the young man challenged the bridge. Qingtang King received the notice and, intrigued, told his attendants he would watch the footage. He had always been curious what made Li Qi special enough to be taken as a disciple by a universe exalt. Li Qi stepped onto the Godtree Tongqian Bridge and sprinted across its surface on a wind-piercing cone, arriving at the end of the 3rd layer. From the mist there came a voice. Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, illusionist. Controller, Li Qi answered. Black liquid surged from the mist and coalesced into a black-clad figure wearing a mask and carrying a long green staff, the green vine pillar, on his back. He also stood on a wind-piercing cone. Battle start, he hissed. The black-clad guardian unleashed the second move, Endless Vine, an extended defensive vine aimed at Li Qi. Li Qi responded without hesitation by using the green vine pillar's 3rd move, Heavenly Net. His staff disintegrated into hair-fine vines that wove into a massive net and swept down toward the Guardian. The black-clad man barked in shock. "Heavenly net!" Lychee bellowed and drove the net forward. The Guardian tried to retreat and used the endless vine to block and pull back, but the heavenly net contracted and tightened faster. The small but sharp vines creaked as the endless vines strained under the pressure. Parts of the Guardian were shredded, and his body dissolved back into black liquid, returning to the mist. The third layer was passed. The fog dispersed, and the bridge surface rose into the sky, gray chaotic airflow like blades slicing through the heavens above. The fourth layer lay there, in the sky. News of Lychee passing the third layer spread through the peak genius battle. Many were astonished. Some sent guesses that he might pass the fourth layer. Others wondered how many of the fourth layer Guardian's moves he could endure. Man Lei received the report and smirked, imagining rivals' reactions. Qingtang King watched Lychee's third layer kill on the large screen and shook his head. Using the third move, Heavenly Net normally matched the fourth layer. Someone who can use that move can often reach the fourth layer, but no further. To pass the fourth requires deeper law comprehension and more refined technique. Gray gales howled as Lychee advanced along the bridge toward the tornado at the end of the fourth layer. Again, the voice. "Choose your opponent." "Controller," Lychee said. A silver-armored figure burst from the tornado. He wore white battle boots, rode a wind-piercing cone, and bore a green staff. Like Lychee, he deployed Heavenly Net. Vines filled the sky over him, a protective web controlled by mind power. The two giant nets met and began to intertwine, indistinguishable as they overlapped. The silver-clad Guardian scoffed. "If your level is only this, you can't defeat me." Lychee's eyes narrowed. He tightened his control and caused the net that intertwined with his opponents to contract more rapidly. The mass of vines compacted into a greenish-blue light sphere, layers upon layers of tiny vines wrapped around each other, carrying the concentrated law power of the entire heavenly net. "Go," he sent the sphere flying like a focused beam. The Guardian's pupils shrank. He desperately drove his heavenly net to overlap and contract to try to intercept the shot. The sphere struck with tremendous force. The overlapped net held for a fraction of a second before the sphere punched through. The projectile, only slightly diminished, sped at the silver-clad Guardian. He tried to split his net apart. 9 streams of green light burst out to chase the sphere, but they were too slow. The greenish-blue seed hit, and the Guardian shattered into a wisp of gray breeze that was swept back into the tornado. The tornado dispersed, revealing the bridge surface. Lychee had passed the fourth layer. Qingtang King stared, surprised. A month ago, Lychee had only been at third layer comprehension and had fought a Guardian to a draw. Now he had cleared the fourth layer outright. The speed at which Lychee absorbed law knowledge was astonishing. Even though the wood origin law was considered a lower law, Lychee's rapid advancement and the fact that wood is a subordinate of the space law, which he also comprehended, meant his talent extended beyond ordinary undying. Regret pricked Qingtang King. If he had acted more decisively, Lychee might have become his disciple instead of being taken by a universe exalt. Thanks to fellow Taoist Mo Xiaoyu for the reward. Chapter 163, The Aftermath and the Clones Will Be Formed, Heavenly Bridge Realm, Island Plaza. Guardian Boffin, having watched Lychee pass the fourth level of the Heavenly Bridge, broadcast the news again, this time to an even wider audience. When Lychee's success appeared on the giant light screen in the plaza, the crowd was stunned and began to murmur. He just passed the fourth level of the Heavenly Bridge? Unbelievable. Last time his law comprehension barely reached the third level. How did he jump to the fourth in just a month? Is it because he's being taught by a universe country lord? His comprehension must have improved immensely under guidance. It's abnormal. Lychee's pace of improvement is insanely fast. He's almost catching up with KD. Still, compared to KD, he's behind. KD cultivates both time law and space law, 2 higher-level laws. You can't compare that to a single lower-level law. Now that both had reached the fourth level, comparisons between Lychee and KD heated up. They were the top 2 in this peak genius battle, and the rivalry only drew more attention. He really did it. Man Lei, watching from the plaza, was shocked. He had hoped Lychee would pass the fourth level, partly as a friend and partly for the excitement, but when it actually happened, he felt lost. His own progress was meager by comparison. He hadn't even passed the first level yet. A stubborn determination rose in him. "I need to cultivate harder when I get back," he vowed. "I won't enjoy any delicacies until I pass the first level." Meanwhile, in the virtual universe, Thunder Island's central mountains, Gu Lun Venerable in his crimson battle robes received the same broadcast. He muttered with interest, "Li Qi has passed the 4th level of the God Tree Tongqin Bridge." Gu Lun had seen Li Qi's previous attempt. Even though Li Qi's comprehension had reached the 3rd level then, passing from the 3rd to the 4th was a tremendous leap. Every 3 levels on the Heavenly Bridge mark a new threshold. The difficulty from the 3rd to the 4th is stark. "His talent with the Wood Origin Law is astonishing," Gu Lun mused. "Is that why Lingtu Venerable took him as a disciple?" With such talent in Wood Origin Law and a growing grasp of space law, Li Qi's future prospects were promising. If he didn't fall, becoming a Marquis-level Undying was likely. Becoming a King-level Undying remained a smaller possibility. Gu Lun sighed. "If I'd discovered him sooner, I would have had an excellent general under my command." Normally, youngsters from the peak genius battle would fall under the exalt who presided over the contest. But the teacher-disciple relationship in the universe often overrides that. When a prodigy is taken as a disciple by another exalt or universe lord, they belong to their teacher. Among immortals, disciples often carry unique legacies and secret techniques. Those ties are deeper than family lines spread over countless generations. Betrayal of a teacher is scorned unless it concerns the survival of one's race. "One KD, one Li Qi," Gu Lun lamented. "Two of the brightest talents from this Genesis battle have been taken by other exalts." What stung most was KD. Gu Lun had once considered taking him, but KD's brilliance had drawn Lingtu and later Guiyi Venerable, Guiyi being a disciple of the primordial Chaos City Lord and an overlord-level being himself. Gu Lun could not compete. At Primordial Chaos City, KD opened the same message and frowned. "Li Qi passed the 4th level," he murmured. "Maybe I should make another attempt at the Heavenly Bridge." Since his last try, KD had polished his grasp of the higher laws and now had a clear path to pass the 5th level of the Cosmic Heavenly Bridge. On Yuxiang Mountain, in a stone manor, Nuno, the horned youth, swung his halberd wildly in the training hall, venting his fury. He bellowed, "Why? Why can he pass the 4th level while I can't even clear the 1st? I mastered the higher level law earlier than him." The hall echoed like the cry of a wounded beast. In a dreamlike tower on Thunder Island, the Fox Clan beauty, Faye, read the broadcast and bit her lip in disbelief. "What's wrong?" asked a soft voice, her teacher. "Teacher," Faye stammered. "Li Qi, who's in my class, passed the 4th level." The teacher sounded mildly surprised. "I remember he only reached the 2nd level last time. Jumping to the 4th in 1 month is extreme." "Can I catch up to him?" Faye asked, uneasily. "It'll be difficult. With the talent he's showing, he's nearing the level of a once-in-10,000 epochs genius, and he's already taken as a disciple by a universe exalt. If he doesn't fall, his future will be high," the teacher said, then softened the blow. "But talent isn't fixed. The universe is vast and strange. You might surpass him. Besides, you're an illusionist and a controller. You'll have unique paths to power. You might not be weaker than him." Faye nodded firmly. "I understand, teacher." Her teacher was pleased. On the God Tree Tongqin Bridge, Li Qi, fresh from passing the 4th level, was oblivious to the outside chatter. His focus was on passing the 5th level. He flew along the bridge and reached the end of the 5th tier, where a roaring tornado waited. A voice from within it intoned, "Choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, illusionist. Defeat one, and you may proceed to the 6th level." Controller Qi chose. A silver-clad figure shot out from the tornado, silver-white armor, white boots, riding a wind-piercing cone and carrying a long green staff. His masked eyes fixed on Li Qi, and the duel began. Both men unleashed heavenly net. Thin, greenish-blue vine threads wove into nets. But Li Qi's net was a single, massive canopy that shadowed the sky, while the silver warrior split his power into over a dozen small nets and rapidly coiled each into a tight ball. Li Qi's pupils narrowed. This wasn't good. The Silver Warrior's comprehension of the Wood Origin Law and his skill with Green Vine Pillar outclassed Li Qi's. Forming many small nets and compressing them into explosive balls was beyond Li Qi's practice. "Your law comprehension and your use of heavenly net are too weak," the silver-clad man sneered, then launched more than a dozen greenish-blue spheres, each brimming with law might. "Block them!" Li Qi shouted inwardly. He pulled the giant heavenly net down as a shield. The balls came in a blur, tracing arcs and striking the net. The net held against the first three, but the pressure was overwhelming. One by one, the balls burned through the fabric. Holes flared and scattered greenish-blue sparks, and some of the energy pierced through to strike Li Qi. He failed. The fifth level of the God Tree Tongtian Bridge defeated him. Back at the island plaza, the genius classmates and several undying spiritual gods who had gathered to watch discussed the result. He lost. He couldn't pass the fifth level. Failure is normal. The gap in law comprehension was large. The opponent's speed and the wood law force in each sphere were tremendous. Most of those spectators had reached undying through wood origin law and had been considering Li Qi as a potential disciple, which is why Guardian Boffin had spread the notice widely. A white flash brought Li Qi back into the central square. Thoughtful, he reflected. Compared to that silver-clad man on the fifth level, my comprehension was weaker. More importantly, my use of the Green Vine Pillar is lacking. Manley's voice called out, "Li Qi." Li Qi turned and saw Manley approaching. "Are you here to try the Heavenly Bridge too?" he asked. "I came to watch you," Manley said, grinning. "Look around. Most of these people came to see you attempt the bridge." Li Qi surveyed the plaza. Nearly 1,000 onlookers. "Who told you to make such a fuss?" he said as Manley clapped his shoulder. "Passing the fourth level puts you on par with that prodigy KD." "I can't compare to KD," Li Qi replied. "KD cultivates both time law and space law, two higher-level laws. He's taking the most difficult path of the Cosmic Chaos Tablet. Among the 49 Chaos Tablets, the Cosmic Chaos Tablet is notorious for its difficulty because it requires comprehension of both time and space laws. There are 3 ways to approach it, mainly time with space as support, mainly space with time as support, or the hardest path, simultaneous mastery of time and space. Kidai had chosen the most difficult simultaneous route. Success would elevate him to the very top of human potential. Manla nodded in understanding. "True," he said. He knew how terrifying it was to pursue the Cosmic Chaos Tablet's hardest path. Then he smirked. "But after you pass the 4th level, KD must feel the pressure." "Perhaps," Li Qi replied. "After this attempt, I'll cultivate for a long time. My next try at the Heavenly Bridge will probably be 10 years from now." "That long?" Manley was surprised. "The number of opportunities to attempt the Chaos Tablets is sufficient," Li Qi explained. "I plan to focus on comprehending laws. The 30 years in Primordial Chaos City are precious. If even Li Qi is working that hard, what right do I have to be lazy?" Manley thought fiercely. "Worst case, I won't eat any delicacies for those 30 years. They chatted a little longer, then parted ways. Back at his Primordial Chaos City residence, Li Qi climbed to the rooftop to continue comprehending the externally manifested laws of the primal universe. While his Guyu ancient tree clone was being nurtured, he planned to focus on the wood origin law. In under 100 years, he had reached a remarkable level in wood law. To ignore it now would be wasteful. Once the Guyu ancient tree clone matured, he'd be better able to use it to develop his space law comprehension. With the clone's help, space comprehension would be faster than struggling with it solo. Time passed quickly. 3 years flew by. Li Qi, still on the rooftop, had grown long hair and a beard. He had been so absorbed in law comprehension, he hadn't bothered with grooming. He looked up at the sky, and his expression changed. His heart trembled. His soul sensed a rupture and a tearing of sorts. He put his awareness into the world ring on his hand and immediately understood. The Guyu ancient tree clone was about to be successfully nurtured. Chapter 164. The Guyu ancient tree clone and the secret method of cultivation and inheritance. Li Qi's consciousness enveloped the world ring as he thought, "This is my Guyu ancient tree clone finally being nurtured." Inside the world ring, a pale red sphere, 100 meters across, floated in midair. Its rippling surface looked liquid. The color on its skin was slowly fading, as if something were drawing the color out. "Ah!" Li Qi suddenly clutched his head and groaned. His soul, the distortion eye in his sea of consciousness, felt as if it was being torn apart. The concentric lines at the edge of the distortion eye began to disappear. Despite the searing pain, he forced himself to stay quiet. Primordial Chaos City forbade loud noises and fighting to avoid disturbing other cultivators, and being expelled from the city was a fate he could not accept. Drip, drip. Li Qi grit his teeth. Veins stood out on his forehead, and sweat streamed down, spattering the floor. Time blurred. His nerves had gone numb. Inside the world ring, the pale red sphere had become transparent. 100-meter-tall tree stood submerged in the liquid. Suddenly the sphere burst, but the liquid did not spray out. Instead, it was sucked straight into the tree, not a drop remaining. The tree rose into the air. Its branches and sword-shaped leaves trembled, and an invisible law fluctuation radiated from it like ripples. Li Qi, his senses dull from the pain, blinked awake. In his sea of consciousness, besides the damaged distortion eye soul, a 32-sided green crystal had appeared. It was strange. The crystal's faces were engraved with many green wood origin law sigils, and a few patterns of space origin law and earth origin law, making it look overly ornate. What a peculiar feeling, he thought. From the perspective of the Guyu ancient tree clone inside the ring, Li Qi could perceive space origin law more clearly. Oddly, the clone's affinity for wood origin law was far lower than his human body's. The clone's wood law talent had been rated at 8 points. Li Qi was surprised. His own talent in wood origin law must be even higher than he'd realized. The more he observed, the more he understood. The law patterns on the green crystal corresponded to the laws he had already comprehended. Could these sigils be a transformation of my law comprehension? He wondered. He focused and tried to draw law understanding from it, but could not. That only strengthened his conviction that the patterns were derived from his own law comprehension. Wait, could this 32-sided green crystal be a core? He tried to transfer it to the Guyu ancient tree clone. Instantly, the crystal vanished from his sea of consciousness and reappeared within the clone inside the world ring. It really is a core, Li Qi realized, both stunned and elated. A core that normally appears at Territory Lord rank had manifested early at Universe rank. Normally a life core, the life core, forms only after breaking through to Territory Lord rank, though clones and special life forms can generate one earlier. That explained why the brain's sea of consciousness wasn't an absolute weakness at Territory Lord rank. The soul may be transferred along with the core. As long as the core survives, so does the being. At World Lord rank, the core opens into an inner world. Exceptional life forms can open their core and inner world even earlier. The primordial universe was vast and strange. Exceptions existed. With the clone's core in place, Li Qi could safely cultivate the 9 revolutions Yuan heavy body refining method contained in his legacy of consciousness. He remembered the primordial universe's operating rules. The soul's lifespan limit is 1,000 epochs. There are fixed lifespan caps for planetary, astral, universe, and territory lord ranks, limits on body gene evolution, and even a universal maximum speed in main space. If he recalled correctly, the highest life gene multiplier below Universe Lord was 100 times. The first stage of the official 9 revolutions method in his legacy could raise life gene level to 128 times, exceeding the primordial universe's stated limits. Cultivating that secret method would be dangerous. Violating the universe's rules would not be easy. But the fact the secret method existed in his consciousness meant it must be cultivable, like the basic chapter of his legacy. Li Qi sat cross-legged and began to cultivate the 9 revolutions Yuan heavy body refining method. An indescribable, incomprehensible fluctuation wrapped him, so subtle his current level couldn't fully sense it. Inside it, his body changed. His cellular genes slowly accumulated a strange energy. After several days, the energy in each cell reached its limit, and his body underwent a violent transformation. Pleasure, comfort, intoxication, an infant in its mother's arms. His life gene level climbed from 32x to 64x. Not good. Li Qi's eyes snapped open. His body trembled, convulsed, and fresh blood erupted from every pore. Boom! The unknown energy in his cell genes detonated, blasting his entire body into powder. Everything turned to dust, even the blood. Only the world ring and a piece of 5th Order force armor remained. Inside the world ring, a sword-shaped leaf drifted down from the Guyu ancient tree clone. Before it touched the ground, it expanded into a huge green sphere of liquid. The sphere burst and Li Qi materialized, naked, black-haired, as the liquid flowed into and reconstituted him. He laughed dryly. This method of resurrection felt like a clone waking up. He linked his consciousness to the world ring, stepped out, then returned to his residence in Primordial Chaos City. He picked up the Fifth Order Force armor, and the suit materialized around him. Cultivating that method was truly dangerous, he thought. Fortunately, he had been cautious. He tried again. Several days later, the same thing happened. The cell gene energy exploded, and he became a pile of powder. The world ring and force armor fell to the floor. Seconds later, he reappeared naked in his room, donned the suit, sighed inwardly, and resumed cultivation. Time and again, he died and was reborn. Each attempt brought him closer. After several cycles, sometimes completing the first stage and being blasted during the second, more than 4 months passed. Finally, Li Qi sat cross-legged in his black battlesuit, face radiant. I've done it. I've completed the first stage. My life gene level has reached 128x. He could feel his body was several times stronger. The quality of his genetic primal energy and mind power had risen correspondingly. But could the Guyu ancient tree clone cultivate the method as well? Li Qi remembered from the original work that Luo Feng's 9 Calamities secret manual could only be cultivated by flesh and blood life forms and reached perfect genes only at the 9th stage. His legacy method was more advanced. It could reach perfect genes by the 5th stage. Maybe a plant-type life form like the Guyu ancient tree clone could cultivate it. If the clone could cultivate, that would greatly boost his future power. He imagined both his human body and the tree clone reaching the 5th stage and a perfect life gene multiplier of 10,081x, with a divine body height of 90,000 kilometers. A subtree could reach 900 kilometers. Even as a crude imitation of a 9 Nether Master, that would be terrifying. He resolved to try. He entered the world ring and transferred the core back to the clone. The tree began to cultivate the 9 revolutions method under his mental guidance. The same incomprehensible fluctuation enveloped the clone. After only 2 days, the 100-meter tree shuddered and exploded into powder. This legacy is truly overbearing, Li Qi thought, surprised and excited. If even a plant can cultivate it, its power is extraordinary. He plucked a fragment of 5th Order mind energy weapon and sent it slashing through his exposed finger. A drop of fresh blood fell into the mound of powder. With a thought, that drop expanded and flowed over the powder, forming a 100-meter sphere of crimson liquid. The sphere shattered, the Guyu ancient tree clone reformed, the blood merging into it. Continue, he ordered. Again and again, the clone accumulated the strange energy and detonated. Each time Li Qi cut his finger and used his blood to revive it. Half a year passed. Buzz, the clone, swaddled in the invisible fluctuation's pleasure and comfort, completed its 2nd stage, and its life gene level reached 128x. Li Qi opened his eyes, heart buoyant. The Guyu ancient tree clone had also reached 128x. Promising indeed. The clone has a talent secret method, Move Branch. What does it do, he wondered. A small branch less than a meter long cracked off the 100-meter tree and dropped. Roots sprouted from the broken end, and within moments, it grew to the maximum of a subtree, 1 meter tall. Li Qi examined the subtree carefully, both surprised and puzzled by what he had discovered. Chapter 165, Practicing Claws and the Lord of Chaos's Doubts. When the Guyu ancient tree clone used the gifted secret technique, Move Branch, Li Qi sat there stunned. A branch had broken off and, under the technique's effect, taken root. Only this time the branch clearly possessed a soul. He had carefully sensed it. The newly born branch's soul was of the same origin as the Guyu ancient tree clones, both splitting off from Li Qi's human main body. The strange thing was that the branch's soul separated without warning. According to the primordial universe's rules, a clone's clone should not be able to conceive another clone. Matryoshka. Cloning was forbidden. The Guyu ancient tree clone was a plant-type life form with a soul. A branch splitting from it should be nothing more than a sapling under the main tree's control, not an independent soul capable of comprehending law. Yet here was a 1-meter branch that already had its own soul, effectively an independent clone that could study law. It can comprehend law. That means both branches can comprehend law. Li Qi's face lit up. And that means I effectively have 3 clones. 3 clones with high law talent changed everything. He could place the 2 branches on his rooftop to cultivate wood origin law and space origin law, while the big Guyu ancient tree clone could integrate its comprehensions into the world ring. His human main body would be free to focus on martial training, claw techniques, movement techniques, and amplitude. With 3 clones cultivating simultaneously, his progress could accelerate dramatically. Gifted secret technique, Move Branch had produced a branch under a 100-meter Guyu ancient tree clone. The branch, less than a meter long, rooted quickly, and a portion of the clone's soul split off onto it. Like the previous branch, this new shoot now had a soul. This was no accident. Transferring his consciousness back to his human body, Li Qi returned to his residence and hurried up to the rooftop. From his world ring, he extracted the 2 1-meter branches and 2 pots of soil and planted them. He smirked at the absurdity of it, planting parts of himself. But the novelty was small consolation to the strategic advantage. Once potted, he let the 2 branches observe the externally manifest laws of the primordial universe. The sensation hit him like a bolt. 1 main body, 3 clones, originating from the same soul, what one comprehended, all could comprehend. The 2 small branches, compared to his human body, showed much greater talent for space origin law and grasped it more clearly in the primordial universe. When they reached new insights, he could receive the same comprehension. The advantage of clones was undeniable, but Li Qi also felt the disorientation of having his soul split into 4 bodies waiting for control when he was used to one. With the 2 branches focused on law comprehension, Li Qi decided his human body would switch to martial cultivation in the virtual universe, a martial artist specializing in claws. Rain Phase Mountain Original Area, Manor number 115. Back in his bound study, Li Qi sent an invitation to Guju Marquis as he left for the training ground, asking for guidance. When he arrived, Guju Marquis, Beikuku, Bai Zong Langren Muli, stood in gray battle armor. Li Qi bowed respectfully. Guju Marquis nodded curtly. Your Highness, you're in Primordial Chaos City. You should focus on comprehending law. Cultivating claw techniques, movement techniques, and amplitude now will waste valuable time. Li Qi smiled. Senior, don't worry. I'm also comprehending law. Multitasking? Guju Marquis sighed inwardly. If multitasking could replace concentrated law study, our human race would have produced many more powerful figures long ago. Seeing Li Qi's resolve, he didn't push further. Better to let him learn by experience than risk offending a disciple of a universe exalt. I achieved undying status with gold origin law, Guju Marquis explained. So if you cultivate claw techniques, focus on wood origin law and space origin law. He shaped his fingers into a claw and flicked them. Phantom claw strikes cut the air. Which laws do these strikes contain? He asked. Li Qi answered without hesitation. Gold origin law with a supplement of space origin law. Guju Marquis nodded. It was hardly surprising a disciple of a universe exalt wouldn't miss such an obvious blend. Because our law comprehensions differ, I can't teach you everything about my claw techniques. I can provide technique guidance, but not complete imitation. Li Qi understood. Even so, he was eager. Guju Marquis's claws were perfectly compatible with the Gold Beast god, and Blood Luo world contained images of that god's battles. Learning from this style would help him interpret those images. Guju Marquis suggested Li Qi exchange for claw-type secret techniques of space origin law or the combined wood space, and pick weapons accordingly. I've already exchanged for a 5th-tier original force weapon, Devil Shadow Claw. Li Qi put on the black hand claws. It's space origin law type. Then your plan is clear, Guju Marquis said. Also, equip 2 arm shields. He demonstrated, producing 2 circular arm shields about 20 centimeters across that didn't hinder movement. Li Qi manifested matching arm shields in response and planned to buy 2 5th-tier arm shields later. Claw techniques are close combat, quick, flexible, unpredictable, Guju Marquis went on, demonstrating various forms and discussing posture, angle, and rhythm. He emphasized combining movement techniques with claw techniques to maximize close-range effectiveness. Over 10 days, Li Qi practiced relentlessly, refining his own style. sharp and aggressive, yet retaining fluidity. The Devil's Shadow Claw and the arm shields became extensions of his hands. Black afterimages streaked through the air as he trained. The sound of tearing wind followed each strike. From a distance, Guju Marquise watched and nodded at the boy's talent and comprehension. Miao Li, the leader of the guard army, also watched with mild surprise. "Your Highness has already formed a style," Miao Li observed. "Even if learning others' secret techniques will be slower now, creating your own secret techniques later will be much easier." After Li Qi's daily drills, Guju Marquise approved. "Your current claw techniques have their own character. You can begin cultivating other people's claw-type secret techniques now." Li Qi nodded. He had previously exchanged for the secret techniques Instant Shadow Illusion Body and the Devil Shadow Claw set, but Guju Marquise had forbade him from cultivating other people's claw techniques until his own style formed. Otherwise, he would be influenced and his future development limited. The creator of Devil Shadow Claw had a body similar to their branch of humanity, so Li Qi would be less affected by learning it. "Stick to your style and cultivate movement techniques alongside the claws," Guju Marquise advised. He said he would return for further guidance in 3 months. After Guju Marquise left, Li Qi asked Miao Li for his opinion. "You have perfected your own style and your comprehension is strong. Now you must stay true to it." It clicked for Li Qi. Guju Marquise had deliberately shown little of his own claw style to avoid influencing him. Li Qi thanked Miao Li and stayed on the training ground, planning his next steps. He would cultivate the Instant Shadow Illusion Body and Devil Shadow Claw, both Space Origin Law secret techniques, and continue to deepen his martial path. He postponed attempting the Heavenly Bridge until he had more achievements on the martial artist Dao. Meanwhile, outside Primordial Chaos City, the City Lord, clad in dark red battle armor, was inspecting newcomers at the Primal Universe entrance to guard against infiltrators. After the checks, he returned to his mansion, and while reviewing Katie's status, he noticed something odd on a rooftop nearby. 2 small trees comprehending law. The City Lord probed their souls and was surprised. The 2 small trees shared the same soul aura. Their soul imprints were unquestionably human, and their life gene level 128-fold. Even he felt a flicker of surprise. The Primordial Universe's rules forbade such nested cloning behavior, and normally limited life gene increases to 100-fold below the Universe Lord tier. He investigated deeper and found a familiar young man in the residence whose soul aura matched the trees. "So it's him," he muttered, baffled. "His clone is a Guyu ancient tree. How can a 1-meter branch comprehend law?" The City Lord ran time in reverse and watched the residents replay. He saw Li Qi transform into dust and then become whole again. Playing forward, he watched the cycle repeat and realized what had happened. As expected of an ancient inheritance, he sighed. A secret technique had likely raised the life gene level beyond the normal limits, but such cultivation carried lethal risk if it failed. There must be a complementary secret technique to conceive clones and preserve the cultivator's consciousness during the lethal process. That combination would explain the illegal life gene spike. He considered the boy fortunate, then vanished without a trace as the timeline returned to normal. Li Qi, unaware of the City Lord's furtive inspection, was already making his next plan. He decided to hunt chaos beasts. He had coveted a chaos true spirit for a long time, and the time had come to go after it. Chapter 166, Hunting Chaos Beasts and Several Years of Change. Inside the World Ring, the Guyu ancient tree clone, over 100 meters tall, shuddered, and an unfathomable law fluctuation shimmered outward. The fluctuation carried both wood origin and space origin laws. Guyu Cage. A pale green radiance spread from the clone, and the power within it was staggering. But almost as soon as the glow appeared, the tree shook violently, and the light vanished. At the same time, Li Qi, who was in his residence in Primordial Chaos City, opened his eyes and frowned. "The energy cost to cast the innate secret technique, Guyu Cage, is enormous," he muttered. "With my Guyu ancient tree clone at 128 times life genetic primal energy, I ran out of energy the moment I activated it." At that moment, Li Qi's realm was universe level, first order. His total genetic primal energy equated to universe rank, 7th order, yet it wasn't enough to sustain even a second of Guyu Cage. With consumption like that, he continued, even at Territory Lord rank 9th Order, the Guyu ancient tree could probably only maintain it for a few seconds. He thought for a moment. For this kind of domain secret technique, expanding the range multiplies consumption. To use Guyu Cage in real combat, you'd need to be at least World Lord rank 9th Order, ideally Undying rank, to counter enemies who can teleport. Seeing it was impractical for now, he stopped researching the technique. He set the world ring containing the Guyu ancient tree clone in his residence, then took the world ring that held his E-Class universe spaceship and left Primordial Chaos City to hunt chaos beasts. Outside the city, chaotic airflow rolled, obscuring vision. On the vast wilderness, weeds ran rampant. Even the stones and plants here had fundamentally different natures from those in the original universe. Under long-term influence of the chaotic chi, the scattered stones never decayed, no matter how long they existed. Li Qi rode the wind-piercing shuttle, flying cautiously and keeping silent. From his information, chaos beasts were gregarious. If you provoked one, dozens or hundreds could show up in an instant. Each hunt gave only 1 or 2 chances to strike. Afterward, you had to run. He soon spotted a patch of white in the weeds and landed, crawling forward close to the ground. It was a tiger-shaped chaos beast over 3 meters long, hairless, mostly white with black stripes, 6 powerful legs, and a slender tail over 2 meters long, more than half its body length. It looks like a lone one, he thought, hiding in the grass and scanning for others. The beast was truly alone. Li Qi decided to act. Heavenly Net. The green vine pillar behind him partially disintegrated, forming thin, intertwining greenish-blue vines that wove into a net and curled into a small ball. With a thought, he launched the ball toward the chaos beast, while another section of the green vine pillar formed a fresh net behind him. The beast raised its head and looked in his direction. The greenish-blue ball flew like a laser, impossibly fast. The beast didn't attempt to dodge. It turned and swung its tail to block. Bang! The ball shattered the tail with a single strike and ripped into the rear half of the beast, spraying golden blood, bone, and flesh. The law power packed into the projectile was overwhelming. It roared in agony. Before the sound died, another greenish-blue beam slammed into it, this time straight to the head. Both hind legs had been crippled by the first hit, and the beast couldn't avoid the second. The beam obliterated its skull. Golden blood, organs, and bone fragments scattered as the tiger-shaped chaos beast collapsed. Its blood, fur, and flesh began to rot, dissolving into chaotic airflow, and a tiny greenish-blue speck of light drifted up. A chaos true spirit! Li Qi's mental energy wrapped around the speck. Then he piloted the wind-piercing shuttle and fled. The instant his mental energy touched the chaos true spirit, the spirit began to dissolve. Mental energy could absorb a chaos true spirit, and Li Qi drew it into the core inside his body. Since he had conceived his clone and his core had formed, neither his clone nor his main body was the true core. The core was the core. He had stored the new chaos true spirit there. The ground trembled and the chaotic airflow quivered. The disturbance had attracted other chaos beasts. Roars sounded as more white, 6-legged tiger-shaped beasts with black stripes burst from the weeds like lightning, chasing the fleeing Li Qi. At first there were a few, but they multiplied. Soon there were several hundred. Li Qi glanced back. Many of them were stronger than the one he'd killed. He kept fleeing, and in 2 or 3 seconds he had opened a gap of several hundred kilometers. He pushed toward Primordial Chaos City. The pursuing beasts finally turned back when he reached the city's area. He landed on the city wall and, with no one around, began refining the chaos true spirit. Within his core, the spiral galaxy, the materialized and evolving manifestation of Li Qi's soul, rotated slowly. At its center, a large black hole, the sign of universe-level First Order, slowly absorbed stardust. The greenish-blue speck fell into the spiral galaxy and was quickly drawn into the central black hole. Slight wisps of mist appeared in the outer, untouchable region of the spiral galaxy. The galaxy had changed in a minor way. Li Qi, his human main body, and the 3 Guyu ancient tree clones all carefully sensed origin law fluctuations. "There's a change," he said inwardly. "My ability to perceive law fluctuations has improved a little." Compared with before, his human body could now detect wood origin fluctuations more clearly. the Guyu clones could sense both space and wood origin laws more clearly. All four of his bodies had a slight improvement in sensing origin law fluctuations. Even a tiny improvement matters. This is just from the first Chaos Beast. If I keep hunting and absorbing Chaos True Spirits, I can keep improving. He felt joy and surprise. Unlike most people, he had four bodies sharing a single soul core. Now that the core had transformed, all four advanced together. The transformation of the core soul caused small changes in the souls of his human body and the three Guyu clones. The core soul was shared by all four. When it improved, all four benefited. As long as the core remained intact, any one of the four bodies could be regenerated if destroyed. Even if all four were destroyed, a surviving core could continually supply energy to recreate them. That was the heaven-defying advantage of the clone's secret technique. But it had a critical downside. If the core were destroyed, all four clones would die at once, no matter how far apart. The core was Li Qi's Achilles' heel. Soul attacks were especially dangerous to someone with clones, because any soul damage to a clone, after being partially mitigated by soul defenses and treasures, would transmit to the core soul. If the core couldn't withstand it, all four bodies were finished. Willpower was therefore crucial. Willpower was the general. The soul was the soldier. Only a strong general could command the soldiers well. He praised the treasure in his heart. Good stuff. It can even make the soul transform. No wonder it's one of Primordial Chaos City's 3 treasures. He wondered why he had no memory of obtaining that third treasure and guessed, maybe it can only be acquired within Primordial Chaos City. This soul transformation is useful, he reflected. As a Universe Lord's disciple, he had access to more information than ordinary core members. From apprentice-level cultivation up through World Lord rank, the soul only steadily strengthens. It doesn't fundamentally change. Only from World Lord rank to Undying rank does the soul undergo fundamental transformation. Now, with the help of a Chaos True Spirit, I can start transforming early. The change is small for now, but with enough accumulation, the benefits will be great. He decided his human main body would be his primary combat clone going forward. The 3 Guyu ancient tree clones were better suited for law comprehension and regional guarding. The human body, able to wield martial artist weapons, would be far better for battle. He planned to walk the beast god path. He boarded the wind-piercing shuttle and flew back out of the city. If it's this effective, I'll keep hunting chaos beasts. A Chaos True Spirit could enhance law comprehension talent and trigger soul transformation. It was best used early. Time flowed. Before he realized it, Li Qi had spent 10 years in Primordial Chaos City. In those years, he dedicated himself to hunting chaos beasts and cultivating. Since he hadn't attempted the Heavenly Bridge after passing its 4th level, he didn't know exactly where his law comprehension stood now. Lately, he had shifted his focus from the wood origin law to the space origin law. Judging from 7th Senior Brother Lingtu Venerable's approving expression when he guided him a few days earlier, his progress with the space origin law had to be decent. Opening his inbox, Li Qi checked the messages he'd received during his closed-door cultivation. Manly passed the 1st level of the Heavenly Bridge, and he did it with the space origin law? He was a little surprised. Not only had Man Lei passed the 1st level, he had fought the black-clothed opponent on the 2nd level for a long time. His space origin law comprehension was close to the 2nd level. He scrolled through messages in the Guardian Bafin group. This guy, he muttered, reading Manly's boastful email about exceeding Li Qi's half-developed space comprehension. He opened another message from Guardian Bafin. KD already passed the 5th level of the Heavenly Bridge half a month after I passed the 4th level. Li Qi wasn't shocked. When KD had attempted the 5th level, he had held his own against the silver-clothed opponent for a long time. He failed only because his secret technique lacked that final edge. From the email timestamp, Li Qi reflected, KD is truly a prodigy. He entered Primordial Chaos City less than a year ago and passed the 5th level of the Universe Heavenly Bridge by cultivating both space and time. Having grasped the space origin law, Li Qi knew how hard it was to reach higher laws. He himself had been analyzing the essence of laws. The secret technique God Tree True Understanding explained wood and space origin laws by dissecting their essence, and the first 6 paintings on the God Tree Chaos tablet guide comprehenders to analyze law essence systematically. Besides Man Nuno, Chen Yi, Philip, and others have passed the first level too. Li Qi raised an eyebrow. Fei passed the second level of the Illusion Light Heavenly Bridge in her 3rd year. During the peak genius battle, illusionist Fei often used soul attacks, making it hard to gauge her law comprehension. But passing the second level of the Heavenly Bridge in her 3rd year put her 3rd among law comprehenders in that contest, matching her final ranking. Li Qi murmured, "With my 112 times force amplification and 1.1 times body amplification, I should be ready." He had scored perfectly on the Undying Altar test and had increased his force amplification to 112x over the years. Guju Marquise had praised him as a genius who had chosen the wrong path, saying that with such martial artist talent, becoming a Psyker Master was a waste. Li Qi stood, stretched, and smiled. Everyone else has challenged the Heavenly Bridge. Now it's my turn. Thanks to fellow reader YZZ for the reward. Also, there's a one-click group join now. Readers who are interested can try it. If you can't get in, tell me, and I'll fix it. Chapter 167, Crossing the 5th Level of the Heavenly Bridge and a Remarkable Performance, Virtual Universe, Tongtian Bridge Plain. A flash of white light, and Li Qi appeared in the central square. Guardian Bafin's expression shifted slightly. After Li Qi arrived and stood beside him, Bafin asked, "Li Qi, are you here to challenge the Heavenly Bridge?" Li Qi nodded. "Yes. It's been almost 10 years since you last attempted it. I wonder how many levels you'll pass this time." Bafin smiled and added, "Someone just entered the God Tree's Heavenly Bridge to challenge it, so you'll have to wait a moment." Li Qi nodded and waited quietly for the challenger inside the Heavenly Bridge to finish. Not long after, a flash of white light marked the exit. A person appeared briefly in the central square, then vanished. Guardian Bafin said, "The person inside has come out. You can enter now." Li Qi nodded and flew toward the Heavenly Bridge. There are quite a few important figures paying attention to Li Qi. Once he challenges the Heavenly Bridge, I should send notifications. Since Li Qi had finished second in this session's peak genius battle, and was the only one who could make KD feel uneasy, and because it was widely known that he had become a disciple of a Universe Exalt, many top-tier Undyings and some Universe Exalts were keeping an eye on him. By tradition, Guardian Bafin needed to notify them. He also decided to send a message to the other prodigies from Li Qi's session, reminding them that Li Qi was making his attempt. "Those youngsters aren't very active in challenging the Heavenly Bridge," he muttered. "They usually wait a long time after passing a level before trying again." Primordial Chaos City, in a residence. Man Lei had just finished cultivating when he read Bafin's message. "Li Qi is finally challenging the Heavenly Bridge. I thought he'd wait out the 30 years, he laughed. "I'm going too. It'll be worth watching." Since passing the first level, Man Lei had been cultivating steadily and felt ready for the second level. But he wanted to know where Li Qi would stop after nearly 10 years, the 5th level or even the 6th. In another residence, Chen Yi read the same message and thought, Li Qi passed the 4th level 10 years ago. After all this time, he should be able to beat the 5th level. The 6th level isn't impossible either. Li Qi's law comprehension had been frighteningly fast when he first arrived in Primordial Chaos City. Chen Yi couldn't rule anything out. "I have nothing going on," he decided, and entered the virtual universe to watch. Yushang Mountain, Prehistoric Zone Manor. Fei of the Fox Clan was in her study reading a secret technique book when she received Guardian Baffin's message. Her delicate brows knit. "Li Qi is challenging the Heavenly Bridge?" With a snap, she closed the book. "None of our session's top talents challenge the Heavenly Bridge often, especially the top two, KD and him. Neither has tried it in nearly 10 years. She rose. "I'll go watch. I don't aim to surpass him anymore, but I want to see how far he reaches now." Yushang Mountain, training ground of Manor number 114. KD was training with a man who moved among thousands of afterimages like he was taking a leisurely stroll. The man walked with his hands behind his back, catching KD's true body in one swift motion. The illusory figures shattered like bubbles. The man put Katie down and said, "This isn't the peak genius battle preliminaries or a trial tower challenge. Filling the field with afterimages doesn't increase your real combat power. You've tried to cut down on them, but there are still too many. Against a single opponent, your technique must be fast and real. Speed is everything, especially against other psychic masters. One extra point of speed increases your chance of winning that much. And stop using so many flashy illusions. Only a few real afterimages are effective. The fewer, the better, but make them genuine." Kadai listened carefully. After the man finished, Katie asked, "Any other advice?" "No." Katie bowed respectfully. "Thank you, senior brother." The man nodded. "Work hard. Push that lychee far behind you. Many powerful beings think he won't be much worse than you in the future." Katie's jaw tightened. "I'll make sure he can't catch up." The man smiled. "I'll return to guide you in 10 years. Then he vanished in a flash of white light, muttering to himself, "Lychee, could he really be that special, favored by so many?" Virtual Universe, Heavenly Bridge. The first 3 levels were shrouded in mist. The 4th and 5th were lashed by howling winds at terrifying altitude. From the 5th level platform, the sea below was invisible. Only the dark winds of the 4th level churned beneath. 5th level. Lychee stood on the bridge and stared at the tornado-like gateway ahead. A voice from the vortex intoned, "Choose martial artist, controller, or illusionist. Defeat your opponent in one of these to enter the 6th level." Lychee wore black battle attire and metallic black gauntlets, the joints edged and his fingertips tipped with curved, razor-sharp barbs. On his forearms, he wore small black arm shields, only about 20 centimeters across. "Martial artist," he said. The tornado spat out a lean man in silver battle armor, silver boots, and a silver mask. He wielded a pair of 5th Order Origin Force claw-type weapons, Devil Shadow Claw, and wore silver forearm shields. At a glance, they were both martial artists of the same style. Back in the central square, spectators watched Lychee's battle on the giant light screen. They were startled. Lychee had never appeared to fight without a mind energy weapon. What's going on? Isn't Lychee a psychic master controller? Why choose a martial artist match? And he didn't bring Green Vine Pillar. Did he switch to martial artist cultivation? And he's using a rare claw weapon. The viewers puzzled. Faye frowned at the screen. Did he switch to martial artist cultivation and spend the years in Primordial Chaos City on that path? Man Lei, watching closely, thought, he reached the 4th level following the controller path at the peak genius battle, and now he's quietly switched to martial artist. He must have confidence, or he was a martial artist before and has been hiding his strength. On the 5th level, Lychee ignored the murmurs. The silver-clad man announced coldly, "Battle begins." He blurred into several afterimages and attacked from multiple directions. Lychee moved like a streak of black lightning, flickering through the assaults. Metal rang as claws met gauntlets. Black and silver figures flashed and danced across the bridge, claw shadows streaking and vanishing. The silver-clad man was impressed and briefly took the initiative, but he didn't relent. Space law runes on his devil shadow claws glowed faintly. He was using a claw-type secret technique. The clashes intensified, his claw shadows grew larger, and his strikes gained power, nearly matching Lychee. Lychee noticed and thought, if he's using a secret technique, I won't hold back either. He unleashed the matching secret technique for the 5th Order Devil Shadow Claw. Instantly, his previously smaller claw shadows doubled in size. Giant claw silhouettes descended on the silver-clad man, pinning him down. "What?" the silver-clad man gasped. His attack technique is ordinary, but his law comprehension, how is it this high? Under the furious onslaught, he failed to block one strike and was injured. Lychee pressed the advantage like a storm, breaking through defenses and opening several wounds. Then his figure blurred and he was at the man's side in an instant. His left hand seized an arm while his right hand crushed his neck. There was a wet sound, blood sprayed. The man's head snapped back and his form dissolved into the tornado at the end of the bridge. The vortex dispersed to reveal the 6th level surface. Lychee had successfully passed the 5th level of the God Tree's Heavenly Bridge, his first public battle after switching to martial artist cultivation. The central square erupted. This is space law. Space origin law, no doubt. Lychee used the martial artist path, and he used space law. Impossible, in 10 years from first comprehending space origin law to being able to pass the 5th level. His talent for space law is insane. Even Faye, watching, felt her composure slip. He's a freak, she thought. He changed to martial artist cultivation and raised his space origin law comprehension to 5th level heavenly bridge standards in 10 years. Man lay, stunned, realized he had far to go. I was right to give up chasing him, he muttered to himself. Guardian Bafin watched the footage and marveled quietly. Switching from psychic master to martial artist normally takes a long time. The two paths are fundamentally different. A martial artist relies on physical force amplification. A psychic master relies on mind energy amplification. They're unrelated systems. Yet Li Qi had switched paths in 10 years and elevated the space origin law he first touched upon, entering primordial chaos city to a level that could pass the bridge's 5th tier. Baffin frowned, then decided another notification was needed. Li Qi's progress was too astonishing not to inform those important figures watching him. He sent out another message detailing Li Qi's remarkable performance. Thanks to book friend 2205-2012-345-7703 for the reward. Chapter 168, The Aftermath of Surprise. In primordial chaos city, inside a private chamber, Qingteng King read the email from Guardian Baffin and felt a sharp pang of regret. If only I had acted faster, he muttered. Li Qi, such a remarkable seedling, could have been my disciple. Li Qi's talent had blossomed to a level that came along only once every 10,000 epochs. If he didn't fall, there was even a sliver of possibility he might one day become a universe exalt. In just 10 years, he had switched to the martial artist path and still raised his space origin law comprehension to the 5th level of the heavenly bridge. Qingteng King smiled ruefully. I have nothing better to do. I'll go see if this youngster can pass the 6th level. On Virtual Universe Thunder Island, in a mountainside palace on the central mountain range, Gulun Venerable studied the same message, realization dawning on his face. So that's why Lingtu Venerable took Li Qi as his disciple, he murmured. It's his space origin law talent. He only just entered the primal universe to work on space origin law, and now, after switching to the martial artist path, he's already at the 5th level of Heavenly Bridge in 10 years. Gulun sighed. Lingtu is truly a veteran universe exalt. His vision is far keener than mine. He spotted Li Qi early. And presiding over this peak genius battle is both fortunate and frustrating, Gulun added. A once-in-a-million epoch genius and a once-in-10,000 epoch genius, both taken as disciples by other universe exalts, and I didn't get a single one. In another palace on the same mountainside, Lingtu Venerable stared at the light screen, surprised by what he read. When did my junior brother switch to the martial artist path? He wondered. He wasn't shocked by Li Qi's space law progress. He had guided Li Qi before and had an idea of his level. What surprised him was the quiet switch to martial artist cultivation, the purposefully chosen undying mentor Guju Marquis, and that Li Qi had used the switch to reach the 5th level of Heavenly Bridge. Lingtu thought, to divert his focus to martial arts, while still raising his space origin law to the 5th level, his talent for analyzing law's essence exceeds what I expected. No wonder Master took him as a disciple. Back in the primal zone of Virtual Universe, Yuxiang Mountain Manor number 114, KD stared at Guardian Baffin's email with a shocked expression. He reread it carefully, then whispered, Such strong space origin law talent. Now I understand why so many great powers prize him. To raise space origin law comprehension from the initial stages to the 5th level of Heavenly Bridge in 10 years, while switching to martial artist cultivation, was extraordinary. KD muttered, Li Qi, as the primordial chaos city lord's named disciple, I won't give you a chance to surpass me. It was time for KD to take his own Heavenly Bridge challenge. He vanished in white light and reappeared almost immediately in the central square of the Tongqian Bridge plain. His arrival sparked whispers among the young attendees. KD's here. He must be here to watch Li Qi challenge Heavenly Bridge, or is he afraid of being overtaken? With his talent, he should be past the 6th level by now. It's been nearly 10 years since he passed the 5th. Still, if Li Qi passes the 6th and KD doesn't, KD's presence stirred telepathic chatter. Manli stepped forward and greeted him. KD, who had little interaction with his peers because of his single-minded cultivation, nodded. "Are you here to watch Li Qi, or to challenge the heavenly bridge yourself?" Manlei asked. "Both," KD replied. "Li Qi is on the 6th level now. I aim for the 7th. The 7th? Manlei and several others were stunned. KD actually expected to reach the 7th level. Guardian Boffin, listening in, was also astonished. If KD truly intended the 7th level after only 10 years in Primordial Chaos City, then by the 30-year mark, he might reach the 9th or 10th levels. He reflected on the statistics from the last 1,000 peak genius battles held by Virtual Universe Corporation and the Great Axe Battleground. 1,058 people passed the 4th level, 45 passed the 5th level, 1 passed the 6th level, 0 passed the 7th level, 0 passed the 8th level, 1 passed the 9th level. The peak genius battle convened twice every 10,000 years. Passing the 4th level was already rare. The 6th level was a once-in-a-thousand epoch rarity, and a 9th level passer was hailed as a once-in-a-million epoch unparalleled genius. If KD could break into the 10th level within 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, he might eclipse that earlier prodigy. On the Godtree Tongtian Bridge, after Li Qi had passed the 5th level, he rose to the 6th and flew slowly, thoughts turning inward. He worried his secret techniques weren't strong enough. If his skills lagged behind his law comprehension, he wouldn't be able to pass. The Godtree True Understanding technique follows the path of analyzing the essence of law, he thought. If you have talent, this method faces no major bottleneck before fully comprehending a law's essence. His talent for analysis was strong, and he had 3 Guyu ancient tree clones working on space origin law alongside him, which had greatly accelerated his progress. It's only been 10 years in Primordial Chaos City, and I still have 20 more. I might reach the 7th level in that time. Passing the 7th within 30 years in Primordial Chaos City would be excellent, better than Bolan's original record, who had been delayed by time origin law. Without that hindrance, Bolan's space law might have reached the 8th level. Li Qi judged his movement technique sufficient. The silver-clad guardian at the 5th level wouldn't have been able to catch him if he hadn't deliberately slowed himself. But movement alone wasn't enough. If his attacking technique was weak, he'd struggle to defeat a guardian. At the end of the 6th Heavenly Bridge level, the tornado spoke. Choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, illusionist. Pick one. Defeat it, and you may enter the 6th level. Martial artist. Li Qi chose immediately. A silver-clad figure burst from the tornado. A 5th-order claw-type original force weapon called Devil Shadow Claw on both hands and an arm shield about 20 centimeters in diameter on each forearm. The silver-clad man looked at Li Qi coldly. A universe-level 1st order reaching the 6th level is already impressive, but you will not pass the 6th under my watch. We'll see, Li Qi replied. They moved as one in a flash. Li Qi unleashed his secret technique, Devil Shadow Claw. 2 massive black claw shadows lunged at the silver-clad opponent, nearly obscuring him. A ringing clash followed as the silver-clad man skillfully neutralized the attack, then transformed into a streak of silver lightning, trailing Li Qi and battering him from every angle. Li Qi was forced onto the defensive as overlapping silver claw shadows descended. The opponent's hands moved like beast claws, the space law power embedded in them capable of causing grievous injury. The silver-clad man sneered, "Your movement is good, and your claw technique decent, but your secret technique is too weak. You must have passed the 5th level by relying on law comprehension alone." Li Qi kept his focus on defense. The silver-clad man grew impatient. "Enough of this," he spat, then leapt high and slammed his right hand down. A giant silver claw shadow erupted, over 10 meters long, a curtain of metal that blotted out half the bridge. Li Qi saw it like a colossal beast slamming its claw toward him. He braced, using his forearm shields and activating all the law secret patterns to block the blow. The silver claw slammed into his shields with a tremendous impact. Even with full activation, he could not withstand it. His arms crushed inward, and the next instant a gauntleted hand pressed against his forehead with brutal force. There was a resounding crack as the blow landed, and Li Qi's world went white. When he opened his eyes, he was on the central square of the island, surrounded by nearly 1,000 people. Some were undying spiritual gods whose auras were oppressive. He blinked in surprise. What's going on? Why are there so many people? Li Qi, Man Lei called. Li Qi pushed through to him. Man Lei, why are there so many people here? Man Lei tilted his head and pointed upward. Above the island hung a huge light screen. On it, someone had just flown to the end of a heavenly bridge level. It's the 4th to 6th levels on display, Man Lei explained. You were on earlier, so some came for your challenge, but most of these people are here to watch KD. Li Qi looked up and saw the figure, KD, at the far end of that level. He had chosen his opponent already. When I challenged, a lot of people came? Li Qi asked. Of course, Man Lei grinned. You quietly raised your space origin law to the 5th level, and Guardian Boffin sent out emails. That draws attention, especially when a genius with many powerful patrons is in the mix. Li Qi remembered Guardian Boffin's duties, to guard the heavenly bridge, maintain order, and send notifications when people challenged. When a prodigy drew interest from major powers, Boffin's mass emails spread the news. KD, hailed as a once-in-a-million epoch genius and publicly a disciple of a universe exalt, naturally drew a crowd. Which level do you think KD will reach? Man Lei asked. Li Qi thought back to the email and said, he passed the 5th level before. He might reach the 7th. Man Lei looked at him for a beat, then laughed. You guessed right, KD himself said he's confident he can pass the 7th. Li Qi glanced back up at the giant screen. KD had already selected his opponent. The battle was about to begin. The outline for the next volume is done. Without a single chapter outline, it's already 5,000 words. Chapter 169, KD breaks through the heavenly bridge, 30 years approaching. On the heavenly bridge plain, inside the light barrier at the island's center, KD, blue-haired, clad in white robes, long sword in hand, selected his opponent, a silver-clad swordsman. In an instant, both of them blurred into motion. Hundreds of thousands of afterimages spread across the bridge, white and silver figures colliding again and again as sword clangs echoed. Time and space itself seemed to be drawn into the duel. In the next moment, the contest was decided. KD's sword passed through the silver-clad figure's throat. The figure dissolved into a wisp of clear wind and returned to the tornado. The way through the 6th layer of the heavenly bridge was open. He made it. KD passed the 6th layer. He passed the 6th layer so easily. The younger crowd buzzed with astonishment. KD's strength exceeded all expectation. He had cleared the 6th layer with apparent ease. He said he'd passed the 7th layer too. Seems he wasn't lying, Man Lei remarked. Indeed. Li Qi nodded, thinking, the Cosmic Chaos Tablet really is the toughest. Judging by the strength of the 6th layer Guardian, this bridge is harder than other 6th layers. The Cosmic Chaos Tablet demanded comprehension of both the time origin law and the space origin law, so it was harder both to understand and to pass. Fortunately, Li Qi had 3 Guyu ancient tree clones to help him. Otherwise, catching up in law comprehension would be difficult. I chose to skip the first 2 diagrams of the God Tree Chaos Tablet and go straight to the 3rd to cultivate space origin law, Li Qi mused. That was the right choice. The first 2 diagrams analyze the essence of the 36 Woods laws. Mastering them would have pushed law comprehension to at least the 7th or 8th layer. With Li Qi's aptitude in Wood origin law, he might have matched KD initially, but later the gap would widen. Wood origin law's ceiling was only around the bridge 10th layer, while space origin law could theoretically reach far higher, even to the bridge 21st layer. Right now, KD was likely to pass the 7th layer, and Li Qi expected to fall 2 layers further behind. There was no real regret in him. Slow start, but 10 years here and this level is already good, he thought. With my current law comprehension and better secret techniques, I'll get through the 6th layer soon enough. I'll exchange for offensive techniques once I return, then concentrate on laws. My next Heavenly Bridge attempt will be in 20 years. I want to make a big push. Even if I can't overtake KD, I want to force him to hurry. A wry smile touched his lips. Being his rival would be interesting. Who KD would become was worth watching. At the 7th layer, at the end of the cosmic heavenly bridge, a small meteorite several kilometers wide hovered. A mechanical voice issued from it. Please choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, illusionist. Martial artist, Katie said. A chunk of stone split from the meteorite, rolled across the bridge, and became a masked martial artist in blue armor. He nodded at KD. To reach the 7th layer at universe level first order, you're the most outstanding talent I've seen in hundreds of epochs. KD inclined his head slightly. The martial artist added, I hope you can pass my trial, but your chances are slim. Begin, KD replied. The duel exploded into motion. Illusory and real silhouettes multiplied until the entire bridge was filled with them. Blade clashes rang out in rapid succession. For a few seconds, neither side gained the advantage. KD's doppelgangers began to thin, but each remaining projection grew more real. The blue-armored martial artist's surprise showed. He had misjudged KD. The clashes grew less frequent and more decisive. KD attacked with precision, forcing the martial artist to defend frantically. Finally, KD's sword split the man's head. He won. He won! KD passed the 7th layer. Amazing! I've only just passed the 1st layer, and he's already through the 7th. Admiration spread among the younger generation. Even the elder immortal spirit gods began to comment on KD's talent, especially since he had been cultivating under the notoriously difficult Cosmic Chaos tablet. No wonder Gui Yi Venerable took him on as a disciple, some said. He's a once every 100,000 epochs talent, others declared. KD had only been in Primordial Chaos City 10 years, and still had 20 left. Many wondered how far he could rise. Li Qi closed his eyes and said, Let's go back and cultivate. You're not going to watch KD attempt the 8th layer? Man Lei asked. No. Li Qi shook his head. I need to seize the time to cultivate. We can't let KD run too far ahead in law comprehension. Manley considered and nodded. Right, don't let him get 3 layers ahead of you. Li Qi smiled. Exactly. I have to work hard to catch up. He patted Manley's shoulder. Besides, it's more interesting if 2 geniuses push each other. Manley's expression betrayed mock irritation. You really are infuriating, he said through gritted teeth as they left the heavenly bridge plane. Back at Rain Phase Mountain Original Area, Manor 115, Li Qi opened the Virtual Universe Corporation treasury in his study to exchange points for better claw-type secret techniques. Xiao Shi, search for space origin law claw techniques, he instructed. Okay, master. The little elf Xiao Shi appeared on his shoulder, her eyes briefly glowing as she searched. The market interface refreshed with space origin law claw techniques. Li Qi had earned 16,000 points for passing the 5th layer, but that still left him short. The 3rd volume of God Tree True Understanding cost 100,000 points and was out of reach. He scanned the options and settled on one, the 5 Intent Extinction Claw, priced at 30,000 points. 30,000, a champion-level technique, should last me a long time, he muttered. He completed the exchange and the thin manual appeared before him. 5 Intent Extinction Claw, 20 centimeters tall. The preface explained the structure. 5 forms, Extinction 1 through Extinction 5. Li Qi smiled wryly at the plain names. Truly unimaginative names compared to the grand titles of the Shadow 7 Absolute's Blade, he complained, then continued reading. The technique proved strong. Its final form, Extinction 5, could reach a maximum power equivalent to the Heavenly Bridge 18th layer. Extinction 4 maxed at the 16th layer, Extinction 3 at the 13th, Extinction 2 at the 10th, and Extinction 1 at the 7th. Maximum here meant the best power achievable when the user's law comprehension matched the level the technique was structured around. If a cultivator with higher law comprehension used it, they could squeeze modest extra power from it, but the gain was limited because the technique's core pattern and law resonance were fixed by its creator's original level. Many powerful cultivators, when they advanced, reshaped or wholly recreated their secret techniques to match their new strength. Without that, their combat power stagnated. Li Qi decided to study Extinction 1 first, then Extinction 2. Extinction 2 would be enough for his remaining 30 years in Primordial Chaos City. He began to practice the 5 Intent Extinction Claw at once. Years passed. It was now Li Qi's 20th year in Primordial Chaos City. In the virtual universe's Rain Phase Mountain training room, Lingtu Venerable asked, Junior brother, your space origin law comprehension is already quite high. Why haven't you challenged the Heavenly Bridge yet? Seventh senior brother, Li Qi replied respectfully, I plan to attempt the Heavenly Bridge right before I leave Primordial Chaos City. Lingtu Venerable smiled. Both you and KD are extremely talented, yet neither of you is eager to challenge the bridge. You both save it until the last moment. As a senior of the Virtual Universe Corporation, he had been eagerly anticipating their challenges. If either could surpass the genius from the Great Axe Battleground 50,000 years ago, it would be extraordinary. From present evidence, KD had a better chance. Li Qi's chances of overtaking that famed genius were small, though catching up would be laudable. 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, Lingtu thought, was only the beginning for a powerhouse. Very well, he paused. I'll come for a guidance session early, in your 29th year here. Is that enough time? Enough, Li Qi nodded. Thank you, senior brother. Are your points and resources sufficient? Lingtu asked. More than enough, Li Qi replied. I've exchanged for the first and second volumes of God Tree True Understanding and the first and second volumes of Time and Space Essay. I haven't touched the 9-universe Chaos Tablet, but with your guidance, my space origin law comprehension from the Time and Space Essay has improved markedly. They both analyze the essence of laws and guide space law, Lingtu said approvingly. It's a pity you didn't choose the 9-universe Chaos Tablet earlier. Progress could have been faster, but your talent suits the God Tree path well. He had heard about Li Qi's Woods aptitude. After only 1 month in Primordial Chaos City, Li Qi's law comprehension had jumped from the 2nd to the 4th layer, evidence of a rare gift in Wood origin law. Li Qi changed the topic. 7th senior brother, I heard the Great Axe Battleground produced a super genius 50,000 years ago? Yes, Lingtu confirmed. A genius born once every million epochs. By the end of his 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, he reached the 9th layer. A once-in-a-million epochs genius who reached the 9th layer by 30 years. Li Qi thought of names and wondered if it could be Eshi Fire Venerable. The timeline suggested those great figures were from the same era as KD. Lingtu chuckled. I won't demand you reach the 9th layer, but if, within your 30 years here, you can pass the 8th layer of the Heavenly Bridge, I'll tell you something. Something. Li Qi blinked. Useful news, Lingtu said with a smile. Very useful for you. Li Qi thought it over. I don't have much confidence in reaching the 9th layer, but the 8th, I can try. Senior brother, I accept your proposal. Lingtu Venerable smiled. Then I'll be looking forward to it. Time flowed on. The 30th year in Primordial Chaos City was about to end. This volume will probably end tomorrow. Chapter 170, The Bloody Battle of the Bridge to the Sky. Inside a G-grade starship at the universal headquarters of the Virtual Universe Corporation, the vast hall was hushed. Gulan Venerable sat on his throne, an undying spiritual god standing respectfully before him. Venerable, news of the Heavenly Bridge challenges has just arrived, the undying spiritual god reported. Gulan inclined his head. Tell me, in this peak genius battle, 5 people cleared the Heavenly Bridge's 3rd level and above. Man Lei and Nuno passed the 3rd level. 18 passed the 4th, Li Qi passed the 5th, and KD passed the 7th. Gulan's brow lifted. KD and Li Qi, haven't they gone back to challenge the bridge since then? No, the undying spiritual god replied after a pause. They haven't attempted it again since their 10th year in Primordial Chaos City. Gulan shook his head minutely. Those 2 kids are in no rush. Primordial Chaos City. On the roof of Li Qi's residence, 2 Guyu ancient tree clones watched the externalized laws of the primal universe while they refined the space origin law. Li Qi burst up the stairs, reached the roof in an instant, and folded the 2 clones into his world ring. 30 years in Primordial Chaos City are nearly up, he thought, eyes on the vast manifested laws above him. The thought of leaving made him reluctant. Permanent residency here required passing the Heavenly Bridge's 18th level. In the 20 years since I cleared the 5th level, my comprehension of the laws hasn't stood still. He thought of the books he could not yet afford. The 3rd volume of God Tree True Understanding needed 100,000 exchange points, while the 2nd volume of Time and Space Essay required only 10,000. Under 7th senior brother's guidance, cultivating the latter had still advanced his law comprehension significantly. Time was nearly up. It was time to challenge the heavenly bridge again. Li Qi settled into a cross-legged meditation and sent his consciousness into the virtual universe. Heavenly Bridge Plane. A burst of white light deposited Li Qi in the plaza at the island's center. Li Qi, Guardian Baffin's eyes brightened. This kid who can keep his calm is finally back to challenge the heavenly bridge. Li Qi bowed. Guardian, sir. Ready to enter? Buffin said. There's no one on the Godtree Tongtian Bridge right now. Go on in. Li Qi nodded and stepped onto the bridge. Guardian Buffin, seeing him enter, began sending out notices. 1 KD, 1 Li Qi, both watched by important eyes, some even wagering on whose future would be greater. Another flash of white light and KD, blue-haired in white clothes, appeared on the plaza. Guardian Bahafin's expression sharpened. KD's here too. Back in the primal universe, inside the fish-shaped G-grade ship's hall, Gulan Venerable watched in silence as more than a dozen undying spiritual gods lingered respectfully nearby. An attendant undying spiritual god leaned forward. The Guardian just sent word. Li Qi and KD have entered the heavenly bridge. Gulan smiled. They finally went. Let's watch. They entered the virtual universe and appeared on a mountainside pavilion on Thunder Island. 2 massive light screens flared to life, broadcasting Li Qi's and KD's challenges live. As a universe exalt, Gulan could watch without stepping into the bridge plane himself. Godtree Tongtian Bridge, 6th level. A voice from the whirlwind at the level's end demanded a choice. Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, illusionist. Pick one, defeat them, and you may enter the 6th level. Martial artist, Li Qi answered without hesitation. A silver-clad figure burst from the whirlwind, 5th-tier claw-type original force weapons glinting on his hands, arm shields strapped to his forearms. Back again, he sneered. Let's see how much you've improved in 20 years. Don't waste me with weak secret techniques. You'll see, Li Qi said coolly. He blinked and moved like a bolt of black lightning. The silver-clad man lunged and slammed a palm down. A vast claw shadow erupted. The strike hit where a figure had been and shattered into nothing. The figure vanished like a bubble. How did he dodge that? The silver-clad man shouted in shock. Too slow, came Li Qi's voice from behind. A black hand claw suddenly pierced the silver-clad man's back, blood spraying. The man crumpled, dissipated into a breeze, and the whirlwind fell away, revealing the bridge behind. Li Qi's form streaked across the bridge's surface. The 6th level's fierce wind had given way to an endless starry sky, and he crossed into the 7th level. At the 7th level terminus floated a meteorite kilometers across. A voice boomed. Choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, illusionist. Martial artist, Li Qi said. A shard of rock split from the meteorite and formed a masked, blue-clad warrior with claw weapons and arm shields. Young man at universe level first order, making it this far is commendable, the aged voice rumbled. But my strength surpasses the 6th level guardian. It will be difficult for you. My goal is the 8th level, Li Qi replied with a smile. You won't stop me. The meteorite whirled past and cloaked the duelists. When it passed, the two were already 2 streaks of lightning colliding in midair. Both used close-range agility and claw techniques, combat that was a blur of clangs and flashes. Li Qi opened with the first move of his 5 intent extinction claw, an immense claw shadow that seemed to tear at the fabric of space, sweeping across the blue-clad warrior's forms. The warrior desperately raised his arm shields, trying to fend off the strike. The blow sent him flying. Extinction 2 followed. Li Qi pursued, invoking an invisible but palpable claw that seemed to annihilate space itself. The blue-clad guardian hastily activated the secret patterns on his arm shields. The clash shattered the genetic primal energy light and let space law fluctuations ring through the air. Despite blocking, the force fractured his arm and shoved it into his chest. He spat blood. Li Qi closed in. A 5-claw strike smashed down. Bang! The guardian's head shattered. He died instantly, reverted to a stone that fell back into the meteorite, which then dissolved into the starry bridge. Li Qi had passed the 7th level. Back on the island plaza, the crowd was stunned as the light screens showed Li Qi clearing the 7th level. 2 huge screens ran side by side, one with Li Qi's battle, the other with KD's. KD had gone in later, but had already reached and passed the 8th level. Both were doing things the assembled young people could only look up to. Undying spiritual gods watching the broadcasts murmured among themselves. Exaggerated, one said. These two are stronger than before. When I stayed 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, I only reached the 6th level, another admitted. Two peerless geniuses from this session, someone else mused. The next peak genius battle's standard will seem lower in comparison. All eyes stayed glued to the screens. Both Li Qi and KD still had more levels to attempt. Heavenly Bridge, 8th level. The meteorite at the bridge's end boomed again. Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, illusionist. Martial artist, Li Qi replied. A chunk of rock detached and formed into another aged blue-clad figure. For a universe-level first order to make the 8th level, you have cause to be proud, the Guardian said. Li Qi smiled faintly. Thank you. Ready? The Guardian asked. Li Qi only nodded. The Guardian launched a flurry of phantom figures, closing in from all sides. Li Qi moved, producing several decoy forms until the true bodies collided with metallic clangs. Li Qi struck with Extinction 1. Great black claw arcs blasted the bridge's surface, clearing all but the Guardian's true body. The Guardian countered with a barrage of claw shadows that filled the sky and swallowed many of Li Qi's projected forms. Li Qi's real body relied on his 2nd level instant shadow illusion body to evade a direct blow. Nice movement, the Guardian conceded, and dove in again. Li Qi flipped and swung. 5 arc-shaped claw marks sliced horizontally toward him. The Guardian had no obvious escape. He offset the incoming strike with one claw while the other braced with an arm shield, fully activating its secret patterns. The shield swelled, doubling in size and covering more than half his body. Now! Li Qi seized the moment. He closed and unleashed Extinction 2, a strike that seemed to erase space itself, slamming into the Guardian's arm shield. The Guardian rocked back. The force creaked through bone, his arm fractured. Li Qi surged, aiming the next strike with his hand claw at the Guardian's head. The Guardian, experienced, used his fractured limb to trigger a secret technique and met Li Qi's blow head-on. The resulting explosion shattered bone and armor. Li Qi's left arm cracked under the shock, blood soaking the limb. He gritted his teeth and forced himself forward, clutching the injured arm to steady it. Using his intact right hand, he reactivated the arm shield's patterns to block. He drove on. With his ruptured left arm still heaving, Li Qi pushed the pain aside and thrust his bloody arm into another Extinction 2. Raw, reckless power that shocked the Guardian, who had not expected such tenacity. The Guardian braced with his remaining shield, then flesh and shards exploded. Li Qi's left arm was pulverized, the Guardian's blocking arm fractured with a groan. A chink had opened. Li Qi felt the opening in the defense tighten into a decisive moment. His right hand extended, burning through the last of his genetic primal energy. He gathered himself and unleashed one final Extinction 2. Chapter 171, News, Planning, and Leaving. After his only remaining arm was badly injured and shattered, the man in blue realized things had gone wrong and immediately tried to dodge with his movement technique. Li Qi had anticipated it. As his previous attack finished, his intact right hand already struck out. Extermination 2! The blow, as if it could annihilate space itself, landed squarely on the blue-clothed man's head. Its overwhelming power instantly obliterated him, his head gone in an instant. On the Tongqian Bridge Plains Island Square, voices rose around the light screens. This young fellow Li Qi is formidable. He actually made it through. Indeed, his law comprehension isn't the best, yet he still passed the 8th level. To spend 30 years cultivating as a martial artist in Primordial Chaos City and lift one's space origin law comprehension to the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge, that's a once-in-100,000 epochs kind of genius. No wonder a universe exalt took him as a disciple. I admire his resolve. To dare to spend 30 years cultivating as a martial artist here, back then, I wouldn't have dared. Watching Li Qi on the screen, having just scraped through the 8th level, the undying spiritual gods exchanged impressed murmurs. Manly watched the screen and thought, Li Qi passed the 8th level. He turned to another screen, where KD had already cleared the 9th level. At first I thought he was joking, Manley thought, then sighed inwardly. I didn't expect him to turn KD's solitary lead into a peerless rivalry. Every 3 levels of the Heavenly Bridge marked a threshold. KD had reached the 9th level of the Universe Heavenly Bridge, Passing the 10th would be difficult, and even harder to get past the 11th. This was exactly as Li Qi had said. He wouldn't let KD run ahead by 2 levels. The 8th level has been passed. Across the square, the Fox Clan woman Fei stared at the light screen, astonished. She knew Li Qi's law talent was high and had given up competing outright, but now seeing him pass the 8th level, double her own progress, she felt a wave of shock wash over her. Each level of the Heavenly Bridge grew harder than the previous. The gap between the 4th and 8th levels wasn't merely double. The younger members of their generation discussed quietly as well. They'd grown numb to Li Qi and KD's achievements. The gap was so vast, it no longer inspired envy, only self-mockery. I won. Exhausted of his genetic primal energy, Li Qi watched the man in blue turn back into stone and slump into the meteor. I passed the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge, he thought with a flush of triumph. The meteor disappeared. His state returned to peak. His damaged arm had healed, and his genetic primal energy recovered. Only 2 more levels remained if he wanted to reach the 10th level within 500 years. Li Qi's heart brimmed with exhilaration. If he could pass the 9th within 500 years, he could take his teacher's test and revive Big Brother. Whoosh! Fired by excitement, he shot toward the 9th level. At the far end, a kilometer-wide meteor awaited, emitting a voice. Please choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, illusionist. Martial artist, Li Qi answered without hesitation. A chunk broke off the meteor and formed into another man in blue. You barely passed the 8th level, the newcomer intoned in an aged voice. You can't defeat me. Li Qi didn't reply. He flickered forward and charged. Extermination 2! Power that seemed to tear at space gathered in his right hand as he struck for the blue man. Useless effort. The blue man's eyes were cold. He raised his arm and activated the sigils on his arm shield, then used a secret technique to slap Li Qi's attacking hand with that shield. Boom! Space-fluctuating forces crashed together. Li Qi was sent staggering backward, his right arm a little worse for wear. He was stunned. The extermination 2 that could shatter an 8th-level man's arm had been so easily blocked by this 9th-level opponent, who had even sent him flying. Your law comprehension is insufficient, the man in blue said. Go cultivate for a while, then come back. Li Qi's pupils narrowed. The 9th-level man had closed the distance and was beside him. Clang, clang. Shadows of claws loaded with immense force continued to rake Li Qi's body. Though he tried to defend, the relentless onslaught overwhelmed him. Swish! A white flash and Li Qi returned to the island square on the Tongqian Bridge plain. He shook his head inwardly. I lost. I barely passed the 8th, but at the 9th I was utterly crushed. His law comprehension simply wasn't enough, and his amplitude wasn't as abnormal as Luo Feng's. Otherwise, he might have traded a few more blows with the blue man. Li Qi. Manley approached and sent a voice transmission. You're extraordinary. You've passed the 8th level, while I've only passed the 3rd. Li Qi replied. Manley, you're here too? Of course. Manley raised his head. You and KD challenging the Heavenly Bridge at the same time caused quite a stir. Many undying spiritual gods came to watch. Li Qi glanced around. Powerful auras from many undying spiritual gods filled the area. He looked up at the massive light screen in the sky. On it, KD was cleaving through a yellow-clothed opponent with a single sword strike. The 10th level has been passed. Truly formidable. KD's law comprehension is already comparable to an ordinary undying spiritual god. Not only that, he comprehended the cosmic chaos tablet and cultivated both time and space, 2 higher-level laws. Hearing the surrounding gods discuss, Li Qi felt a flicker of surprise. KD had indeed passed the 10th level. He recalled that in the original tale, KD later reached the universe rank Original Tongqian Mountain, so this progress made sense, but it was still astonishing. When KD first entered Primordial Chaos City, his law comprehension had only been at the 5th level. 30 years later, he could clear the 10th. Such a rapid rise was almost unbelievable. Li Qi reflected on himself. Cultivating in Primordial Chaos City for 30 years and lifting his space law comprehension from near beginner to the 8th level, he was unusual too. He decided not to dwell on comparisons. If KD advanced faster, so be it. It didn't affect him much. With KD ahead drawing attention and a suspected super genius in the Great Axe battleground, possibly Eshi Fire Venerable, also present, the heat on him would be less. Just then, Kadi was defeated on the 11th level of the Universe Heavenly Bridge. In a residence in Primordial Chaos City, Nuno stared blankly at an email on his light screen. The light in his eyes had dimmed. He had lost the desire to compare himself to Li Qi. The gulf between them in law comprehension felt hopeless. Even Manlei, whom he'd never respected, had surpassed him. Both were at the 3rd level of the Heavenly Bridge, but Manlei had passed his 3rd level test with Space Origin Law, while Nuno had used Wind Origin Law. Space was a higher level law, Wind was a lower level law he had once looked down on. The contrast stung. On Thunder Island's central mountains in the virtual universe, Gulun Venerable watched the battles on the 2 light screens and smiled. Both of them are excellent. Maybe one day their palaces will be built on the mountainside of this range. The undying spiritual gods in the hall were startled. Venerable thinks these 2 young men could become Universe Exalts in the future? Universe Exalt, a monumental rank. They were beings who had comprehended higher-level laws and could found universe countries. Gulun Venerable believed these 2 recent graduates of the Peak Genius Battle, KD and Li Qi, might achieve that someday. It was high praise indeed. On another mountainside palace, Ling-Tu Venerable read an email from Guardian Boffin and smiled with surprise. Junior brother passed the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge? He had guided Li Qi and knew his Space Origin Law was already strong, nearly at 8th level standard, but he hadn't expected him to clear it so soon. My junior brother truly has an opportunity. That message suits him well. He composed an email to Li Qi. Back on the Tongtian Bridge plain, as Li Qi prepared to leave, he received a message from 7th senior brother Ling-Tu Venerable. Curious, he accepted the invitation and in a flash appeared in a palace, bowing respectfully when he saw Ling-Tu and another guest present. Senior brother, he sent, voice steady. Junior brother, Ling-Tu replied with a smile. Do you remember our agreement? I said that if you passed the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge within 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, I would tell you a piece of news. Now that you've passed within the agreed time, I will tell you that news. Ling-Tu listed the name, Universe Mercenary Alliance, Glory Secret Realm, Tas World. Glory Secret Realm, Tas World. Li Qi mulled it over. If he remembered correctly, that was the location of a trial mission. Ling-Tu confirmed Li Qi's thought. Remember, complete several trial missions before going to Tas World. Thank you for telling me, senior brother, Li Qi transmitted respectfully. Ling-Tu nodded. Go. By schedule, you should be leaving Primordial Chaos City now. Yes, Li Qi bowed, then vanished in white light. On a rooftop in Primordial Chaos City, Li Qi opened his eyes and looked up at the laws manifested in the primal universe's skies. From 7th senior brother's message and his instructions, he inferred that Tas World held an opportunity suited to him. The Virtual Universe Corporation's trial missions were not merely tests. Each mission world held its own opportunity. Blood Luo World, for example, preserved where the gold beast god fell and contained treasures like the Blood River Crystal. Mount Moyen might hold the legacy of the Demon Sound God General, an inheritance so profound that if fully accepted, it could let one cultivate to Universe Overlord rank. Mount Hanyan, closely related to Mount Moyen, was suspected to house the legacy of the ice-cold god general. These weren't mere rumors. They hinted at the great potential hidden in these trial mission worlds. Li Qi thought most people would only realize the opportunities after completing several missions. He was different. He knew to search for them from the start. I intend to follow the beast god path, so Blood Luo World is a must. Blood River Crystal is a supreme treasure for flesh and blood life. He hesitated a little, regretful. His Guyu ancient tree clone was a plant life form and could not utilize such treasures. Only his human main body could. There's no point going to Mount Moyen without the demonic killer race clone's innate technique replication. Without it, I can't enter that legacy hall. Outside, powerful world lords and undying rank beasts guard it. Without aura concealment, I'd never get in. He decided, after Blood Luo World, he would pick a few other trial mission worlds at random, then head for Tas World. 3 days later, while Li Qi was studying the primal universe's manifested laws and comprehending Wood Origin Law, a voice echoed in his mind. Prepare to depart. He recognized the voice, Gulun Venerables. Above primordial Chaos City, the dark blue, fish-shaped spaceship hovered. Figures streaked toward it. It was time to leave. Lychee rose and flew to the ship. Inside, following the corridor to a lounge, he found that out of the 1,000 geniuses in his generation, only 886 remained. 114 had died hunting chaos beasts. After a few greetings, Gulun Venerable entered wearing fiery red battle armor. An invisible pressure radiated from him, instantly silencing the lounge. "The 30 years of basic cultivation in primordial Chaos City have ended," he said. "Your performance has satisfied me. Though the mortality rate is high, your Heavenly Bridge achievements are astonishing." He smiled. KD and Lychee, one passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, the other the 8th, rank among the top 3 in nearly 1,000 peak genius battles. Everyone turned to look at KD and Lychee. They'd grown used to their brilliance. If someone later claimed these two would become universe exalts, no one would be surprised. After passing through a time-distorted corridor, the universe spaceship finally emerged into the wider primal universe. "You have left the primal universe," Gulun announced. "Your safest cultivation period in primordial Chaos City is officially over. From now on, you will be divided into 4 teams and sent to the primitive mystical region, the highest beginning mythical region, the Heaven and Earth secret realm, and the Doomsday secret realm. This next stage won't be as comfortable as primordial Chaos City. I wish you luck, and I hope you're still alive when I see you next." The ship slowed, the hatch opened, and Lychee and the others streamed out. They saw distant, undulating mountains, myriad spaceships, figures flying across the sky, and countless stars overhead. They had left the primal universe, concluding 30 years of cultivation in primordial Chaos City. End of Volume 5. Next volume, Primitive Mystical Region, begins tomorrow. Chapter 172. Assassination Level. Pressure from the Old Man, and heading to the original secret realm. Word of KD and Lychee's Heavenly Bridge challenge results spread quickly among the undying spiritual gods who had witnessed it, and soon nearly every undying spiritual god across the 5 great giants knew. Messages propagated through hundreds and thousands of transmissions across the virtual universe. In the Demon Clan's territory, a magnificent palace drifted in the endless starry sky. Flames of many colors, black, white, purple, and more, burned like tiny suns, each the size of a star, rotating around the palace. The palace bent space-time around it and existed within its own dimension. From a distance, it was undetectable. A white heavenly wolf with a divine body more than 10 kilometers long streaked in from the starry void, landed on the square before the palace, and prostrated itself. "Leader," the white wolf said with reverence, "there's fresh intelligence from human territory about number 1. A statue shaped like an eye on the palace stirred and blinked. Then a low rumble came from within it. "Has number 1 done something astonishing again?" the voice asked. "He has," the white wolf replied. "According to the latest reports, number 1 has passed the 10th level of the Cosmic Heavenly Bridge, surpassing number 2, Void Goldmaster's disciple, in the same span of time. The 10th level of the Cosmic Heavenly Bridge." The eye's pupil narrowed and the rumble turned icier. "Raise number 1's assassination level to level 1. In Demon Clan terms, level 1 assassination was second only to the highest rated hit. It allowed the sacrifice of king-level undying souls for enslavement prior to the assassination, priority given to enslaving the target's soul so he could not be resurrected by reversing space-time. Level 1 hits were reserved for wiping out astonishing geniuses from rival races. "Yes, leader." The white wolf bowed and departed to issue the order. "Cosmic Heavenly Bridge," the eye statue murmured. "We can't let the human race produce another existence like the Sky Devour Palace Master." At the same time, the automaton race and the insect race, 2 peak races, issued similar commands. The memory of the origin ancestors' might of a human who once dominated the primordial universe and roamed the universe sea left a scar in their collective memory. They did not want the human race to spawn another peerless genius, no matter how remote the chance of reaching Universe Exalt. Virtual Universe Corporation All-Universe Headquarters hung like an immense continent in the starry sky, where stars looked no larger than sesame seeds. A silver-robed attendant called out in a conference hall where new travelers gathered. KD and Lychee, Highnesses of the primal zone, your transport to the primitive mystical region will depart with a venerable. Please wait here. Members of the prehistoric zone, board the rock-gray ship, second from the left. Members of the heaven and earth zone, board the purplish-red ship. Members of the apocalypse zone, board the largest ink-black ship. Now you may depart. 886 young people began to stir, exchanging farewells as they headed to different secret realms. The 4 secret realms aren't even in the same region. From now on, we'll only meet in the virtual universe, one called. Goodbye, see you later. Lychee watched the others go until only he and KD remained in the hall. He tilted his head. Feels strange with Monlay not here. KD nodded. True. According to what I've read, Lychee continued, universe rank secret realm events happen once every 100 years. Territory Lord rank events are every 1,000 years. World Lord rank every 100,000 years. Don't get eliminated into the highest beginning mythical region, KD said casually. Don't worry, Lychee laughed. Outside of us 2 newcomers, the other 3 veteran universe rank members already have law comprehension at the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge, the same level I'm at now. In 100 years' time for the next Secret Realm contest, it won't be easy for them to take the primitive mystical region from me. He smirked with a hint of challenge. And you, don't let me catch up. You're dreaming, KD said lightly. For now, our only real rival is each other, Lychee said, then grinned. As for those 3 veterans, I bet they're tense right now. Face 2 super geniuses, and you'd be nervous too. In the Primal Zone's public area on Yushang Mountain, 3 universe-rank members of the primitive mystical region sat around a circular stone table. The only woman, Wu Shuiwen, had a dragon-like beauty, small horns on her brow, pale scales on her face and hands, and white battle armor. You've all received the news on the 2 newcomers, she said. What do you think? Kriya, an ape-like man in gray battle gear whose dark fur and broad shoulders made him over 2 meters tall, replied in a deep voice. What's there to think? Cultivate harder. These 2 are beyond normal. Ural, a 4-armed man in deep red, added, I've heard both were taken as disciples by Universe Exalts. Their law comprehension is outrageous. We can't match them. The 3 nodded. Their generation's primitive mystical region members had left Primordial Chaos City with only the 5th level of the Heavenly Bridge. These newcomers, however, arrived with one at the 10th level and another at the 8th, the same level as the veterans who had cultivated for 10,000 years. One of them even came in as if already possessing 12 divine items. That gap felt like a cheat in a game where the veterans had to grind for millennia to catch up. The next Secret Realm competition is in 100 years, Ural continued. Maybe Lychee will reach 9th, or even 10th, level by then. If I can't hit 9th before that contest, I'll break through to Territory Lord rank. There are 10 Territory Lord spots in the primitive mystical region, Kriya said, and each needs at least 10th level Heavenly Bridge law comprehension. If you can't get to 10th within 1,000 years after breaking through, you'll just be cannon fodder and get eliminated into the highest beginning mythical region. Wu Shuiwen sighed. Among us 3, my law comprehension is the highest. I've been hiding my strength. I might already be at the 9th level, but I'm not confident I could beat that Lychee. Both men fell silent. The pressure in their chests was real. The threat the newcomers posed dwarfed the pressure from those in the highest beginning mythical region. Becoming a territory lord meant assignments across universe countries, higher risk of alien assassinations, and the recurring stress of secret realm contests every 1,000 years. Breaking through to territory lord rank to buy more time was a last resort, but a sensible one if they couldn't directly compete. After a few more words, the 3 dispersed to their duties. Back at the Virtual Universe Corporation headquarters, Lychee and KD waited in a conference hall until a powerful, undying spiritual god strode in. Your Highnesses, please follow me, he said. As you wish. Lychee and KD bowed slightly. I'm Shanjin King, the Undying introduced on the way out. A champion undying under the Venerable. They followed him outside. We're headed to the Virtual Universe Corporation's primitive mystical region, Shanjin King said. It's the closest secret realm to headquarters, then the highest beginning mythical region, then the heaven and earth realm, and the doomsday secret realm is the farthest. The primitive mystical region you're going to is in the same universe country as headquarters, about 20 light-years away. Let me explain what you're entering. Shanjin King explained with a patient tone. The primordial universe is the oldest, largest universe. It birthed billions of races and countless strong beings. Most of the universe evolved into stars, planets, and galaxies, but some areas developed into strange, exceptional zones, cosmic secret realms. These special regions defy imagination. The life forms, the beasts, the treasures, and the dangers within are beyond comprehension. Some cosmic secret realms can be traversed by world lords without dying. Others are so lethal, even universe country lords have little hope of survival. Katie listened with evident surprise. Li Qi remained composed. He had read the original texts and knew more of these things. The most dangerous, the divine mystery realm, Shanjin King continued, contains both vast dangers and magnificent treasures. It hides universe exalts and even universe lords. Life forms born outside the primordial universe find it hard to surpass certain limits. Those from the divine kingdom struggle to reach undying spiritual God. Those born in cosmic secret realms rarely become universe exalts. Origin-born beings in territories more readily become universe lords and true gods. Shanjin King added, "We have developed 4 secret realms: primitive mystical region, highest beginning mythical region, heaven and earth realm, and doomsday secret realm, which we've modified to be safe and cultivation friendly. Cosmic secret realms contain rich universe origin energy that condenses into universe crystals, perfect for cultivation." They reached a medium-sized G-class spaceship. Shanjin King smiled and led them aboard. Inside the main hall, Gulun Venerable, dressed in fiery red battle attire, acknowledged them. "Depart for the primitive mystical region," he ordered. A few days later, Li Qi and KD were assigned residences among the core geniuses of the primitive mystical region. On the ship's resting room, an external scene simulation ran. Li Qi watched as 136 gigantic stars revolved in the void, their trajectories profound and awe-inspiring. Shanjin King said, "Those 136 stars form their own dimension. The highnesses residing there are extremely safe. Even a universe country lord would have difficulty breaching it. Your pickup should have arrived." As he finished, spatial ripples appeared in the void realm. Boom! Space ripples spread through the void realm, and a magnificent golden universe-class starship, over 1,000 meters long, materialized. Shanjin King grinned as he watched it appear. "Look, the ship that comes to take you is here." Li Qi and KD bowed to Gulun Venerable, then followed Shanjin King out through the hatch and toward the golden ship. The two vessels were only about 10,000 kilometers apart. At universe-rank speed, they closed the distance in moments. The golden ship's airlock was already open. 4 powerful figures exuding law aura stood at the entrance. Li Qi recognized only one of them, his guard captain, Bai Zong Langren Mu Li. Miao Li bowed. "Your Highness." "Welcome, Highnesses, to the 9th time-space of the primal mystical region," said another, evidently KD's guard captain. Of the remaining 2 undying-level figures, one was a silver-haired woman with silver eyes, barefoot, who smiled as she spoke. This 9th time-space, also called the Wu Chen time-space, is the residence of all Highnesses through the ages. Please enter the ship. We will take you to your residences. The 4 stepped aside, and Li Qi and KD entered. Inside the reception hall, they watched the simulated star chart scenery on the screens as the ship launched and sped back toward the 9th timespace. When Li Qi truly entered the timespace, he saw 136 planets orbiting at its edge, while the center was dominated by an incredibly dazzling continent. On that radiant land, exquisite palace complexes floated in the air. This timespace is called the Wu Chen timespace, and the continent at its core is the Wu Chen continent, the silver-haired woman explained. From the outside, you can only see the Wu Chen planets. The continent itself is hidden. All Highnesses reside on the Wu Chen continent. She continued with a touch of pride. Those 136 Wu Chen planets are artificially created, each one built by our Virtual Universe Corporation at enormous cost. The safety of the Highnesses is paramount, so we needed strong defenses against outside powerhouses. These planets operate automatically and form the outer shell of this timespace. Any invasion will be resisted by the timespace itself. Attacks are diverted to the Wu Chen planets and dissipated, Even attacks by undying spiritual gods have no effect on this time-space. Not even a group of universe country lords could break in. Li Qi nodded. The primal mystical region housed the top geniuses in the core layer. It made sense the Virtual Universe Corporation would invest heavily in defenses. As one of the top two great powers among the human race's five giants, the corporation cultivated the race's best talents here. Many world lords of Luo Feng's generation had law comprehension comparable to champions, and a few to king-level undying. If such geniuses reached undying, the human race would gain more king-level undying in the future. Exceptional geniuses like Bolin, appearing once every 10,000 eras, could even become venerables. The backbone of any race consisted of Universe Exalt powerhouses who guarded resources, held secret realms, and competed for cosmic reserves. The Wuchen continent was vast. Each highness could be allocated nearly 1,000,000 kilometers of territory. Li Qi and KD were soon sent to their respective holdings. After moving in, Li Qi took time to familiarize himself with his surroundings, then entered the Virtual Universe interface. Virtual Universe, Yushang Mountain Primal Zone, Manor number 115. Li Qi materialized in his bound study. Xiaoxi's pleasant voice chimed in his mind. Master, you have a new message from the Virtual Universe Corporation. He sat on the sofa and called up a light screen to read it. The message reminded him that his user permissions had been updated and could be viewed via his personal backend. He opened the backend and three main menus appeared: Life, Study, and Cultivate. Under Life were many options: Star Chart, Diet, Nutrient Solution Cabin, Residence, Spaceship, and so on. Diet and residence services and many items were free. Starships from A to D rank were provided at no cost. Better ships required purchase. The virtual universe supplied most necessities unless they were extremely expensive. The Nutrient Solution Cabin caught his eye. It could be used to soak and raise one's current rank to the maximum of that level. A note read, "My current genetic primal energy rank is universe level first order. I can apply." He pressed apply. A light screen popped up showing a smiling green-haired woman in a white robe. "Hello, Highness Li Qi. Are you applying to use the Nutrient Solution Cabin to ascend from Universe Level First Order to Universe Level Ninth Order?" "Yes," he answered. "We will deliver the Nutrient Solution Cabin to your residence within 1 day," she said kindly. The screen closed. As it shut, Li Qi remembered his life gene multiplier, 128-fold, and guessed the solution required would be at least 128 times the usual dose. He shrugged. If supplies ran short, he could always apply again. Next, he opened Study. It was split into theory and practice. Theory consisted of public lectures in the primal zone. Although members were few, their treatment was exceptional. Undyings frequently lectured, and universe country lords occasionally led courses more often than in the highest beginning mythical region. These classes covered the 8 origin laws: gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, and the 2 most difficult, space and time. There were also combo laws like space gold and space wood, skill courses, and consciousness training. The lecturers were at least undying, sometimes universe country lords, reflecting how privileged the core layer was. Attendance at public lectures was optional. Even if a universe exalt lectured, one could choose not to listen. Practice had 3 main trials: the Heavenly Bridge, the Illusion Sea, and the Undying Altar. Heavenly Bridge, open to all core members. It tests comprehension of the universe's origin laws. The deeper your comprehension, the more levels you pass and the more points you earn. Illusion Sea, open to all core members. It tests the strength of a cultivator's consciousness and will. The deeper you penetrate the Illusion Sea, the more points you gain. Undying Altar tests physical exertion. With identical bodies, different cultivators can release differing amounts of power. Pure brute force is 1 unit. Strong cultivators can reach 10-20 units. The absolute limit is 100 units, which marks perfect body control. Achieving 100 units is a prerequisite for breaking through to Undying. Li Qi reviewed his own status. He'd already completed the Undying Altar test and reached 100 units. Physical exertion was no longer an obstacle. He'd tried the Heavenly Bridge before, but not the Illusion Sea. Before taking the trial missions, he decided to challenge the Illusion Sea to see how many islands he could pass. Then he opened Cultivate. The page explained the point system. Points mattered more than money in the virtual universe. Besides the 3 trials, members could earn points by taking cultivation missions, real-world trials that forged true power through blood and hardship. Missions were ranked by danger: safe, normal, difficult, dangerous, and desperate, with mortality rates of 0%, 10%, 50%, and 90% respectively. Higher danger brought higher rewards. Members were advised to act within their ability. Don't get too comfortable and be surpassed, but don't recklessly take the deadliest missions without preparation. Everything, study, cultivation, missions, was a personal choice, and each core member bore the consequences. The path to undying is perilous. We wish you success, the passage concluded. Li Qi tapped the armrest and thought, in the primal universe, save for those peak-born beings who didn't climb out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, the road to power is never easy. Even the geniuses cultivated by the virtual universe must face mission dangers, fortune and catastrophe, and foreign assassination attempts. He weighed his advantages. His clone ability made him hard to kill and raised his chances of survival. He set a long-term goal. First, finish my teacher's test and strive to reach the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge within 500 years. By then, I should be able to revive Big Brother. Second, keep my family alive as long as possible. A wave of melancholy washed over him. If he didn't fall, his prospects were boundless, but not all his family displayed cultivation talent. Only 5 family members had shown potential. Big Brother and Second Dad were already gone. Still, the primal universe was mysterious. He believed talent might be changeable, and becoming a powerhouse would let him acquire more and better resources. He thought about the mysterious legacy he had obtained. He knew almost nothing about it beyond its name. Why had the legacy appeared on him? How had his teacher, Ice Peak Lord, obtained the other part of the legacy crystal? Many questions remained under the legacy's veil. Perhaps his teacher knew its origin. Universe Lords could trace time-space and the past. Once he became undying or reached Universe Exalt, he could likely ask the teacher. For now, he had a plan. He applied to enter the Illusion Sea and see how far his consciousness could go. Chapter 174. The Guyu Ancient Tree Clone Brings Surprises, Illusion Seaplane. The Black Sea thundered, waves dozens of meters high smashing again and again against the cliff shore. Islands floated across the Illusion Sea. The farther in you flew from the outer islands toward the center, the stronger the oppressive illusionism will become. The scoring rules of the Illusion Sea were somewhat like the Heavenly Bridge, 21 islands arranged from the outside in. The first island was worth 100 points, the second 200, the third 400, and so on, until the deepest, the 21st island. The Illusion Sea is very similar to the Heavenly Bridge, Li Qi thought as he stood on the cliff edge and stared at the endless black water. Only the Heavenly Bridge tests law comprehension, while this tests will strength. Passing the 10th island of the Illusion Sea meant one's will had reached the undying spiritual god level. He estimated his own will was not top tier among his peers. Back during the peak genius battle, if it weren't for the soul's secret technique Distortion Eye, I probably wouldn't have beaten Faye. If I can get past the 6th island, that would be very good. He judged that passing the 6th island would put his will around an ordinary world lord rank. Time to begin. Li Qi condensed into a streak of light and shot for the first island. He moved through the first and second islands easily. The pressure on consciousness there was negligible. The third island increased in difficulty and pressed at him, but he still managed to break through. By the 4th island, the pressure was much stronger. He briefly slipped into an illusion, but shook free and succeeded. The 5th island hit him with an overwhelming pressure the instant he crossed the threshold. An illusion descended, the sky burned, and massive universe-class warships hovered over a green plain, laser cannons blazing. Li Qi stood on the grass and felt his consciousness blur. 11, run! The slave-catching team is closing in! Someone bore down on him from above. Senior brother Eric swept in, grabbed Li Qi, and fled. Behind them, several universe adventurers aimed net guns, shouting and firing. Li Qi, held in Eric's arms, stared in disbelief. Senior brother, you're alive? Confusion flashed through him. He remembered Eric's death, the day the United Cultivation Camp was breached, when astral rank Yao beasts surrounded and killed him. Then the realization hit. He was inside an illusion. He roared, "Break for me!" The gunfire froze midair. The laser beams hung like threads of light. Then, like glass shattering, everything except Li Qi splintered into fragments. The illusion dissolved, and he snapped awake, having passed the fifth island. He lingered before the sixth island and thought, passing the fifth is probably my limit for now. I'm at the peak of Territory Lord rank in will, still far from World Lord rank. I need to go to the Blood Luo world to temper my will in the ancient god ruins. Still, he steeled himself and charged the sixth island. No sooner had he entered than a crushing illusion and unbearable pressure crashed down as if the sky itself had fallen. His consciousness could only resist briefly before it shattered. He was spit out of the island. Failure. At the deepest edge of the illusion sea, on the rim of the 21st island, a black-scaled elder in golden-yellow robes sat cross-legged. He was the administrator of the whole illusion sea. To reach the sixth island at universe rank first order, this Li Qi has good will, the elder mused with a smile. He ranked third in will strength at the peak genius battle, behind KD and Fei, who did pass the sixth island. The elder reflected that will was like a general and consciousness like the soldiers who execute orders. Consciousness strength depended on mental energy, brain domain, and so on. Li Qi's challenge had been run at universe rank first order, so his consciousness was somewhat weaker than that of a universe rank ninth order. Once Li Qi reached ninth order and tempered his will, he would likely be able to pass the sixth island. One day after Li Qi's attempt on the Illusion Sea, on Wu Chen continent in the primitive mystical region, a universe-class ship landed within a territory. A purple-haired woman in a white robe bowed respectfully as she presented a nutrient solution capsule. Your Highness Li Qi, only 1/3 of the precious nutrient solution in this capsule is needed for a universe rank first order to advance to ninth order. Venerable Lingtu requested additional nutrient solution, saying, Your Highness may need it for other purposes. By company rules, extra nutrient solution must be purchased. Venerable Lingtu has already paid. Li Qi nodded. The Virtual Universe Corporation used top-grade nutrient solution to strengthen its core members. It was expensive and not given freely. The capsule was brought to his cultivation chamber. When he approached, the lid opened by itself. Inside sat a pale purple liquid filling about 3/5 of the container. An invisible chill rose from it. Li Qi frowned. The nutrient solution he had used at the stellar cultivation camp had never been so cold. When he touched it, a bitter cold crawled up his finger, at least 60 to 70 degrees below zero, but at the same time the cells in his fingers seemed to rejoice. Although it's extremely cold, its effects are extraordinary, he noted. Li Qi removed his force armor and slipped into the capsule, lying in the icy purple liquid. The substance seeped through his skin into muscle, bone, membranes, organs, his entire body changing at an astonishing rate. For an ordinary person to go from universe rank first order to ninth order would take hundreds or thousands of years of accumulation. For someone with his high genetic rank, the required energy would be tens or hundreds of times greater, taking even longer. But with the Virtual Universe Corporation bearing the cost, it could be accomplished within a year or so. As for the cold, against a universe rank powerhouse, it was only a sensation, not a barrier. He emerged 3 months later. The text says 8 months, then 9 months. I'll keep the original timeline. After nearly 9 months sealed in the capsule, he finally stepped out. Inside the capsule, his body had been transformed, muscle fibers and bones restructured, physical quality pushed to the limit for universe rank. My genetic primal energy is universe rank 9th order, and my mind power is 9th order as well, he confirmed. Normally, physical quality could not improve further unless he broke through to Territory Lord rank, a breakthrough that would change his genes and bring another leap. He had expected the process to take over a year. It had taken just under 9 months. His exceptional body quality and absorption efficiency had shortened the time dramatically. Now at universe rank 9th order, he could raise his Guyu ancient tree clone to 9th order too. Li Qi entered his world ring and viewed the 100-meter-tall Guyu ancient tree clone main tree and one of its clone trees inside. Within the world ring, the main Guyu ancient tree drew in 3 Lanke fruits with its mind power and devoured them. The tree trembled. Roots surged and spread, the trunk thickened and lengthened, branches expanded. Within minutes, the ancient tree had grown to over 300 meters. 3 Lanke fruits made it grow over 200 meters. 10 Lanke fruits should be enough to push the main tree to the usual universe rank limit of 1 kilometer. It drew in 7 more Lanke fruits and fed ravenously. The roots exploded outward, the trunk surged upward, and the canopy ballooned. After about 10 minutes, the growth slowed, but Li Qi stared in astonishment. The tree had far surpassed the expected limit. What's happening? He wondered. Could my increased genetic rank have raised the Guyu ancient tree clone's growth ceiling too? He continued feeding the tree fruit after fruit. The world ring trembled with the tree's growth as roots ramified across hundreds of kilometers and the canopy stretched over vast swaths of territory. Finally, after repeated devouring, the main tree reached its new limit, a full 10 kilometers tall, 10 times the usual universe rank cap. Li Qi smiled. The jump in the main tree's height limit delighted him because it directly improved the upper bound for the clone trees as well. Normally, a Guyu ancient tree at its limit might top out at 100 kilometers. With his main tree's limit rising, its potential could one day reach thousands or even tens of thousands of kilometers. He wouldn't even have to wait until perfect gene to use his clone as a planet-shattering weapon like the Nine Nether Master. He planned to raise the main tree to its 9th order universe limit and then re-nurture the clone trees using the tree's innate technique, Move Branch. That ability allows the cultivation of clone trees at 1% the height of the main tree, far more cost-effective than feeding Lanke fruits to each clone. As long as he didn't transfer the main tree's core to a clone, the main tree's energy outlay would be recovered in time. Li Qi resolved to leave the world ring containing the main Guyu ancient tree clone in the territory of the primitive mystical region and to place the core on the main tree there. That way, he thought, even if my human main body dies in a trial world, I can be resurrected through the Guyu ancient tree clone in the primitive mystical region. With that decision made, he left the cultivation chamber and went to the study to prepare his application for a trial mission. Chapter 1-5, The World of the Giant God and Heading to the World of Shuiluo. Back in his study, Li Qi summoned the light screen and opened the Cultivate option in back-end management. Cultivation tasks were divided into 5 danger levels: safe, 0% mortality, normal, 10%, difficult, 20%, dangerous, 50%, and needy percent. He had already planned his goals. The first cultivation task would be in the Blood Luo world. Without hesitation, Li Qi selected the dangerous level. Beep! The light screen flashed red and a warning in Universe Common Language appeared. Warning, Your Highness Li Qi, this is your first cultivation task. Based on historical data from the Virtual Universe Corporation, selecting dangerous level for your first task carries a mortality rate of 78.2%. Please choose carefully. Click Confirm to proceed or cancel to abort. A dangerous task is risky for most people, Li Qi muttered, but with my clone ability, the danger is much reduced. He clicked Confirm. The screen changed to display detailed information. Dangerous level tasks are frequently chosen by core members after gaining confidence from various trials. Mortality is around 50%. The higher the danger, the greater the rewards. The dangerous level task list includes 1. Vesca Star, Primitive Mystical Region. 2. 7 Flame Hall, Heaven and Earth Secret Realm. 6. Green Devil World, Doomsday Secret Realm. 9. Dragon Tower Star, Highest Beginning Mythical Region. 18. 9 Star Sea, Giant Axe Secret Realm. 23. Giant God World, Primitive Mystical Region. 29. Prison Battlefield, Universe Mercenary Alliance's Glory Secret Realm. 36. Blood Luo World, Highest Beginning Mythical Region. 133. Taz World, Universe Mercenary Alliance's Glory Secret Realm. 186. Flame Ice Continent, Universe Galaxy Bank's Black Hole Secret Realm. There were 186 available cultivation tasks, each taking place in a secret realm controlled and transformed by one of the human race's 5 great powers. Because the 5 great powers developed and managed those regions, alien threats were usually minimal. Most danger came from the tasks themselves. Before accepting the Blood Luo world task, Li Qi browsed options in the primitive mystical region. The giant god world caught his eye. Giant god world, a planet born in the primitive mystical region, suspended in the void realm. Its formation roughly coincides with the emergence of our human race. Li Qi read on. The main life forms resemble humans and are considered part of the human race. The world is friendly to outsiders and acknowledges the 5 great powers. Many undying spiritual gods were born here and have fought for the human race and the Virtual Universe Corporation. Average heights exceed 20 meters. Exceptional individuals surpass 40 meters. A few who have consumed giant god power fruit have reached hundreds or even thousands of meters. Giant God World Cultivation Task 1. Enter the Brave Trial Selection. Obtain 6 Brave Badges to receive 1,000 points. Completing Task 2 automatically completes Task 1. 2. Win the Giant God World Brave Trial to become the Champion Brave and receive 1 Giant God Power Fruit. Surrendering the fruit to the Virtual Universe Corporation yields 10,000 points. All participants are universe-ranked geniuses from Giant God World. Many have law comprehension up to the 6th level of the Heavenly Bridge. 3. After becoming Champion Brave, consume the Giant God Power Fruit. If it takes effect, receive 100,000 points. Consuming the fruit is risky. 80% of participants choose only Task 1. That Giant God Power Fruit looks valuable, Li Qi said. The points were comparable to becoming a Blood Warrior by using a Blood River Crystal. I'll attempt Giant God World later. First, I'll go to Blood Luo World for Blood River Crystal. He glanced at the Taz World entry and then opened the Blood Luo World details. Blood Luo World, a vast continent born in the highest beginning mythical region and suspended in the Void Realm. Cosmic secret realms formed during a universe's evolution. Blood Luo World emerged very early in the highest beginning mythical region. Its antiquity predates even the human race's oldest universe countries. Li Qi paused. The Blood Luo World was that ancient. No wonder the 8 innate beast gods and even universe exalts had origins tied to it. It had long been the lair of the gold beast god and had been carefully tended for ages. A hint followed. Blood Luo World is extremely hostile to outsiders. Entrants must not carry any technological items. Certain mind energy weapons and original force weapons are forbidden unless they already exist within Blood Luo World. You must dress according to local customs. If your appearance is unusual, you must alter it to conform. The language differs from Universe Common Language. Entrants must learn the Blood Luo language. Appearance wouldn't be a problem. Humans in Blood Luo World came in thousands of races, and Li Qi's looks would be commonplace. As for language, his universe rank abilities were comparable to a simple optical computer. Learning a language would take no more than a day. Claw-type weapons are common in a world long ruled by a beast god, he thought. I used to follow the controller path. Even though I cultivate as a martial artist now, pretending to be a Psyker Master won't be hard. If enemies try close combat against a Psyker, that works to my advantage. Blood Luo World Cultivation Task 1. Obtain 1 Blood River Crystal, a unique product of Blood Luo World. Reward, 10,000 points. 2. Obtain the title of Blood Warrior and receive a Blood Luo badge. Reward, 100,000 points. 99.5% of participants complete only the first task. Completing either task counts as success. Becoming a Blood Warrior by fusing 3 Blood River Crystals won't be easy, but gathering multiple crystals over time is more doable, Li Qi mused. He accepted the task. Please confirm to accept the Blood Luo World Cultivation Task. Beep. Acceptance successful. Fill in departure time. The Virtual Universe Corporation will arrange a universe spaceship. Travel from the primitive mystical region to the highest beginning mythical region will take over 3 months. Li Qi nodded. A round trip will be about half a year. The journey's long. He thought about restrictions. He couldn't bring certain tech or items that would reveal him. He definitely couldn't bring the mind energy weapon Green Vine Pillar. He would need to custom make sharp, short swords as substitutes for mind energy weapons. He ordered custom gear on the light screen. E-grade metal for general confrontations with universe rank or territory lord rank opponents. For claw-type weapons, he'd mock up Devil Shadow Claws in F-grade metal, the kind common in Blood Luo World. He would also have a set of black metal armor, helmet, and combat boots to match the claws, so his hands would look like ordinary gauntlets. The newly cultivated cloud-caressing vine didn't exist in Bloodlure world, so he couldn't bring it. Other tech items were disallowed too. Fortunately, Bloodlure world allowed world rings. Without one, he couldn't even bring an E-grade spaceship. He would hide the spaceship and other sensitive items in a world ring disguised as a spatial ring. Unused, it wouldn't generate world fluctuations, and therefore wouldn't be easily detected. After preparations, he set the departure time for shortly after delivery of the weapons and armor. Several days later, a universe spaceship thundered in. Li Qi stood at a distance watching it approach. Beside him were Guju Marquis and Guard Commander Miao Li, flanked by guards and servants. Miao Li warned, "Your Highness, please be careful on this cultivation task. If you encounter an enemy you can't handle, flee. It's better to fail the task than to die." "Thank you." Li Qi bowed slightly, then streaked upward like a beam of light. "Farewell, Your Highness." The guards and servants saluted as he entered the approaching ship. Inside a sword-shaped ship traversing the dark universe, Li Qi first traveled from the primitive mystical region to the virtual universe headquarters, then boarded a faster ship to the highest beginning mythical region, 120 million light-years away. "Your Highness, we are heading to the Bloodluo world. The ship is traveling at 50 times the speed of light and will take over 3 months to arrive," a purple-scaled man announced, his presence giving off a faint pressure. "I will notify you upon arrival. You may rest." Li Qi split his consciousness and entered the virtual universe to cultivate 5 intent extinction claw and instant shadow illusion body. During the voyage, he attended a lecture by a universe exalt. The lecture was fruitful, his wood origin law advanced, and several of his doubts about space law were resolved. More than 3 months later, while most of his consciousness was still cultivating in the virtual universe, the purple-scaled man entered the lounge. "Your Highness, we have arrived at the Bloodluo world." Li Qi brought up the external view on the virtual display. Thin mists and fragments of void realm dust made the outside view dreamlike. Far away was an incomparably vast palace suspended in the void realm. Li Qi recognized it immediately. "Is that the Eclipse Palace, the residence of the Sky Devour Palace Master, one of the human race's 3 top-tier universe overlords?" "This is Eclipse Palace," the purple-scaled man confirmed. "Some of our virtual universe corporation's superpower mediate here and also monitor Bloodluo world. Not far from Eclipse Palace is a large cleared area for universe ship maneuvering. Eclipse Palace monitors the Bloodluo continent closely. Anyone leaving Bloodluo world will be detected. If they are our people, they will be escorted safely away. If they are natives, the outcome." He left the sentence hanging. Li Qi knew the rest. 99% of natives who tried to leave Bloodluo world were killed, often simply by technological weapons deployed from Eclipse Palace, unless they were at the undying spiritual god level. "You've been brought this far," the purple-scaled man said. "From here on, you'll need to pilot your own ship. The cultivation task hints mentioned bringing a spaceship." Li Qi nodded. The hatch opened, and he stepped out in black armor, helmet, and combat boots. In his hand, he manifested a silver E-grade spaceship. He entered it and, before launching, looked once more at the immense Eclipse Palace. "Activate camouflage mode. Disguise as a meteor," he ordered. The ship's exterior color and apparent shape shifted. It would appear as an irregular meteor to outside observers, only an illusion crafted by advanced technology. Li Qi watched the external display as an immense continent came into view. The Bloodluo world, shrouded in clouds and suspended in the void realm. Its topography was hard to discern from a distance. As the ship closed in, the continent loomed larger. "Bloodluo world, Blood River Crystal," he murmured. "I'm coming." Author's note: I've been running on empty, working over 20 days straight. I really need a day off. Flag set, big update on the last weekend of this month. Whoosh! The E-grade ship, disguised as a meteorite, pierced the cloud layer and entered the Bloodluo world. "We've broken into the 18th cloud layer," Li Qi muttered. He opened the hatch, stepped out, and stored the ship inside his world ring. There are undying spiritual gods in this world, and only Yunxiao level, universe rank cultivators can reach the 18th cloud. I can't keep the ship out here. It would be discovered. The 18th cloud was the highest layer the natives dared to reach. They had learned through countless tragedies that flying any higher invited the attention of outsiders and death. The moment he left the ship, Li Qi felt a heavy pull. Not bad. The gravity here is strong. A closer scan showed his life gene level was high and his physique exaggerated. With gravity like this, you probably can't fly without reaching astral rank. No wonder planetary levels are called Earth grade here. By local ranking standards, the Bloodlow world divided strength into Earth grade, Sky level, Yunxiao level, Domain level, World level, and Undying Spiritual God, roughly matching planetary, astral, universe, Domain Lord, World Lord, and Undying in the wider universe. Gravity yanked Li Qi toward the ground. As he closed in his descent, accelerated. He activated a force field to counter the pull and slowed to a controlled landing. It's curious, he thought. This place has resources like Blood River Crystal. Virtual Universe Corporation could dominate the world, but they don't. They're only monitoring it. A thought struck him. Could the corporation be controlling the output of Blood River crystals? It was possible. If they ran the place fully, they'd station people to manage it. And those managers might become corrupt and strip mine the crystals. He shook the idea away and saw, below, a broad chain of mountains stretching like a sea of stone. He headed for them. I'll land there. Minutes later, he came down hard on a mountain peak, clad in battered black metal armor, a helmet, and combat boots, looking like a local. From his vantage point, he overlooked an endless, vigorous forest with dozens of towering peaks. Compared to them, his peak was barely a hill. This must be the Lianyun Mountains. The Lianyun Mountains were well known in the Bloodluo world for dozens of summits that pierced the clouds. Li Qi smiled. Lucky, the range spans several territories and isn't far from the ancient god ruins. Cities here fell into territory. Main cities and world cities. A territory main city's lord had to be domain level. A world city's lord had to be world level. A single world city could govern hundreds of millions to over 1 billion kilometers in diameter and rule billions of people. There were tens of millions of world cities across the Bloodluo world, and above them all loomed the immortal shrines, aloof and rarely meddling in ordinary affairs. I'll find someone and ask for directions, Li Qi said, and plunged into the forest. Deeper in, a team of adventurers moved cautiously. The Lianyun Mountains harbored many savage beasts. The outer regions were safer, but vigilance still mattered. 13 people made up the group. In the center rode a fair-skinned young man in light armor, Caxiu, flanked by 2 saber and shield guards, with a gray-robed elder trailing behind. 2 of the frontline members exchanged telepathic whispers. Boss, when do we strike? If we go deeper, we might meet Yunxiao-level beasts. We haven't reached the inner range yet. Yunxiao beasts won't be that easy to find. But no buts. Caxiu has a Yunxiao-level elder guarding him. We won't topple him. Boss, can't you hold the elder off? You're Yunxiao too. I could delay him, but he's famed and powerful. I can't defeat him quickly. If you can stall him, the 9 of us could handle the other 3 easily. It's not that simple. Caxiu's 2 guards are peak sky-level cultivators, chosen elites from thousands in the Myers family. You couldn't take them down fast either. The one-eyed leader, Guangtou Dahan, understood then. The 9 weren't a match for the 4 guarding Caxiu. How would they complete their mission? Boss, what do we do? One of them transmitted. We can't match Caxiu and his 4. Relax. The employer sent a Yunxiao-level expert to back us. He should be arriving soon, Guangtou Dahan replied. Li Qi flew fast through the trees and, scanning with his mind power, found the group. Finally, people. He closed in without slowing. The gray-robed elder moved forward to stand in front of Caxiu. Young Master Caxiu, someone's approaching fast, he warned, conjuring a shield of mind energy weapons from his world ring. The surrounding 8 adventurers tensed, eager to act. Only Guangtou Dahan frowned and transmitted, Hold formation. Don't move until I say. The 8 fell back into their positions. They found me, Li Qi thought. There's at least one psyker among them. He slowed and stepped out from behind a tree. The black-armored stranger standing before them wore battered gear stamped with shallow and deep scars, armor that had seen many fights. The gray-robed elder studied him carefully. Who are you? Li Qi smiled. You can call me an ascetic, a bitter cultivator. Bitter cultivator? Kaxiu's eyes brightened. Such people were rare on the Blood Luo continent, recluses who sequestered themselves to advance to higher realms, or those who ventured alone into danger to temper themselves. The gray-robed elder transmitted urgently, "Young Master Kaxiu, his origins are unclear. Best not to associate." "Don't worry, I know." Kaxiu nodded, though his gaze held envy at the thought of ascetic life. The one-eyed adventurer, eyeing Li Qi, transmitted, "Boss, could this be the man our employer sent?" "No," Guangtou Dahan replied. "He's too young to be the man we were promised." "If not, should we?" the one-eyed man asked. "Don't provoke him," Guangtou Dahan ordered. "Someone calling himself a bitter cultivator and traveling alone in the Lianyun is either a fool or an expert. Fools die early. Only experts survive." "Understood." The others relaxed slightly. The gray-robed elder asked aloud, "If you're an ascetic, what brings you here?" Li Qi smiled. "Nothing special. I wanted to know where we are and which way Fengyin Territory's main city lies." Their faces changed at once. Could he have come from the other side of the mountains? Kaxiu spoke up, "This is Fengyin Territory. We're heading back to Fengyin City. You can travel with us." The gray-robed elder tried to pull Kaxiu back, but Kaxiu finished the offer. "Fengyin City is where we're going." "Fine," Li Qi said. Traveling with someone of Kaxiu's standing, a Yunxiao-level youth with 2 peak sky-level bodyguards, would save him trouble and help hide his identity. "Excellent. Let's head to Fengyin City." Kaxiu beamed. "May I ask how to address you?" "Call me Mr. Li," Li Qi answered. "Mr. Li," Kaxiu repeated respectfully. "Did you come from the other side of the Lianyun Mountains?" Li Qi only smiled and nodded. The dozen others' hearts skipped. One who could use transmigration to cross the Lianyun Mountains was likely a strong Yunxiao-level cultivator, well above the 3rd or 4th stage Yunxiao levels among them. Still, none believed he was a domain-level lord. Such an existence would be far more arrogant and imposing, not casually friendly and curious. "Boss, what now?" the one-eyed man transmitted. "This Mr. Li can transmigration the mountains. His strength must be terrifying. We're no match." "I know," Guangtou Dahan said, narrowing his eyes. "Abort this mission for now. With Mr. Li here, we won't succeed. Consider this a protection assignment instead. Keep your guard up and don't expose yourself." "Understood," the others echoed, and they tightened their formation, relieved they no longer had to make a reckless move. As they traveled, Li Qi's mind power swept the surroundings. A flicker of expression crossed his face. Ahead and to the front right, the gray-robed elder shouted, "Savage beast!" A sky-level peak beast charged, over 10 meters long, nearly 8 meters tall at the shoulder, leopard-like but plated in scales. It roared and leapt. Black small blades erupted from Li Qi's body, dozens of them flashing into arcs. They struck through trees and pierced the beast's flesh and scales. The blades returned and stabbed through it again in a swift, repeating cycle. From the instant the beast attacked to the moment it fell, the whole sequence took 2 or 3 seconds. The sound of tearing flesh was followed by a final pained cry before the beast collapsed. Everyone stared in stunned silence. "A Psyker Master," someone breathed. Psyker Masters were terrifying opponents. If Mr. Li had chosen to fight them, he alone could slaughter the group. Kaxiu, however, was delighted. "Mr. Li, are you a Psyker Master?" Li Qi sheathed the blades into his world ring and nodded. "Yes! Truly amazing!" Kaxiu exclaimed. "A Psyker Master and a bitter cultivator. What strength of will!" "It suits me," Li Qi replied, non-committal. The gray-robed elder relaxed visibly and gestured for him to join. With 13, now 14, they turned together toward Fengyin City. During the flight, Kaxiu peppered Mr. Li with questions about ascetic life. Li Qi answered selectively, gauging the youth's temperament. Kaxiu clearly romanticized the ascetic's path, like a pampered child craving a taste of hardship. After about 10 minutes, a knife edge of surprise passed over Li Qi's face, and at that instant, a slashing saber light streaked toward Kaxiu with lightning speed. Inside the gloomy forest, withered leaves carpeted the ground and the air smelled of rot. A thin, dim saber light cut through the murk, and a figure in matte black armor, his face hidden beneath a helmet, followed in its wake. "Young Master, watch out!" Elder Lu, the gray-robed elder, reacted instantly. He unleashed his mind-energy weapon. With ringing clangs, a silver shield formed before young Master Kaxiu just as the saber strike landed. The blade smashed against the shield and was stopped. "Brothers," Guangtou Dahan had warned his men before the ambush. Remember, this is a guard mission. Protect young master Caxiu. The masked man's voice rang out. Why aren't you attacking? The words sent a jolt through Caxiu and his four gray-robed companions. If the masked man had accomplices, they were in serious trouble. Guangtou Dahan was Yunxiao level, and he had 8 sky-level adventurers under him, all seasoned fighters. The masked man's situation looked hopeless if he wasn't careful. The masked man snarled in frustration. He had counted on his partners, but then Guangtou Dahan sprang forward, shouting, "Protect young master Caxiu," and charged the masked man as if he were the most loyal of bodyguards. Guangtou Dahan's saber flashed, and he threw himself into the attack with full force. The masked man, taken aback by this betrayal, fumbled for a shield from his spatial ring and parried, but the blow staggered him. Seeing he couldn't stand and trade forever, he leveraged the impact to retreat. He muttered to himself as he fell back, "I can't get tangled with them. There are 2 Yunxiao-level cultivators here and a psyker master. If my identity is exposed, I won't get away." "Not so fast," Elder Lu snorted and sprang after him. The silver shield before Caxiu dissolved and reformed into a long sword which shot after the fleeing assassin. Before Elder Lu pursued, he sent a terse transmission to Caxiu. "Seek protection from the bitter cultivator Mr. Li. If he shelters you, no one can harm you." In Elder Lu's judgment, Li Qi, the bitter cultivator, was the least likely to be an accomplice. Li Qi was the strongest there. Had he wanted Caxiu dead, he could have struck outright. Caxiu, shaken, moved close to Li Qi and called, "Mr. Li, save me." Li Qi responded by producing a dozen small black swords that arranged themselves around Caxiu like a cage. In his eyes, the youth was proof of his own identity. He would not let him be killed. Guangtou Dahan and the others continued to press the chase. "Guard young master well," he bellowed as he followed. Caxiu, still tense, whispered a question to Li Qi via transmission. "Who among them do you think is most likely the assassin's accomplice?" Li Qi smiled faintly. "It depends on how you choose." "How I choose?" "They all move to protect you. There may be an accomplice among them, or there may not. Suspicion shown in your behavior will only discourage them. Actions speak louder than intentions." Caxiu thought for a moment and then nodded. "I understand. Thank you, Mr. Li." Soon afterward, Elder Lu and Guangtou Dahan returned, bringing with them the masked man's headless corpse. "Young master," Elder Lu said, breathless, "this assassin fought to the death. I did not hold back. I shattered his skull." "It's fine." Caxiu bowed his thanks to Li Qi. "Thank you for protecting me, Mr. Li." Li Qi withdrew his dozen black swords and relaxed. Guangtou Dahan hurried over, apologetic. "Young master Caxiu, sorry to have alarmed you." Caxiu smiled and waved it off. "Thank you, Zhuomike and everyone, for protecting me. Had you not been here, the assassin might have succeeded. When we return to Fengyin City, I will increase everyone's mission commission by 30% to show my gratitude." Guangtou Dahan and the others brightened at that unexpected bonus. The gray-robed elder watched them with a new suspicion. He still thought those 9 adventurers had been likely accomplices. He opened his mouth to speak, but Caxiu cut him off with a transmission. "This will be settled my way. Regardless of anything, they protected me just now. The Myers family principle is to always repay kindness." Elder Lu fell silent, moved by the young master's decency. He thought Caxiu's conduct resembled that of the family head, both surprising and reassuring. Li Qi then asked calmly, "May I examine the assassin's spatial ring?" Caxiu agreed and asked Elder Lu to hand the corpse over. Elder Lu used mind power to send the body to Li Qi. Li Qi received it and scanned the assassin, finally taking a spatial ring from the dead man's belongings. The ring's mind power imprint had dissipated with the assassin's death, so Li Qi impressed his own mind power on it and opened it up. Inside were some weapons, broken shells, and miscellaneous junk, no secret manuals. He sighed. No secret manuals. After erasing his imprint from the ring, Li Qi returned the corpse and the ring to Elder Lu. "Are you interested in secret manuals?" Caxiu asked. "I am," Li Qi admitted. "My goal is to learn as many secret manuals of the Blood Luo continent as I can. That's why I wander." Elder Lu brightened. "Young master, the family has many public secret manuals. Why not invite Mr. Li to the Myers family? He could study them." Caxiu agreed at once. Mr. Li, please come visit the Myers family. My father would certainly welcome a strong cultivator like you and allow access to those manuals. Li Qi hesitated only a moment before accepting. Very well, I'll impose on your hospitality. Coxu smiled. Inviting the bitter cultivator as a guest had two benefits. Li Qi's strength was invaluable, and as someone who'd traveled many worlds, Li Qi might shed light on the wider world beyond Fengyan City. Li Qi, meanwhile, was quietly pleased. The invitation deepened his bitter persona and made it less likely his true identity would be exposed. Elder Lu stored the assassin's headless corpse in his spatial ring, and the group continued toward Fengyan City. As they flew, Elder Lu's brows tightened. Two items taken from the assassin had given him a nagging feeling of recognition. Then suddenly he spoke into the group's transmission. I know who the assassin might be. Coxiu looked up sharply. Who? From two items on him, Elder Lu said slowly. I think he's connected to the Abate family. The Abate family? Coxiu's voice went cold. Isn't that Lady Shilubeti's maiden family? Elder Lu's tone went heavy. I can't be absolutely certain, but the evidence and the motive point that way. Coxiu frowned. What motive would the Abate family have to kill me? Elder Lu explained. Recently, the family head of the Abate family has been unusually eager. He may soon go to Cloud Bay World City to cultivate. To secure things while he's away, he hopes to make Lady Silubeti his official wife. Coxiu's pupils narrowed. As his father's only legitimate son, he understood what that would mean. If Lady Shilubeti became the official wife, her two younger sons would gain legitimacy and rights of inheritance, becoming heirs to the family and access to their father's network and influence. Even if his father wasn't the city lord, his power would be considerable. He studied under a world-level master who happens to be the city lord of Cloud Bay World City. So the Abate family wants me dead, Coxiu said slowly, to force father to marry Lady Shilubeti and make her sons legitimate heirs. Yes, Elder Lu said. That was only an idea before, and because of the late mistress it wasn't executed. Until now, somehow news leaked. Coxiu's voice hardened. We must return to Fengyan City at once. It's unsafe out here. If they can make one move, they can make another. Elder Lu's face paled as he remembered another detail, the broken shell from the assassin's spatial ring. The assassin's ring had a two-faced turtle shell, he said. Those are used as life and death verifiers. If his accomplices know he's dead, they'll be alerted. They may already be waiting for us. Everyone's expressions changed. The two-faced turtle was a lowly, desolate beast whose unique double shell made it useful as a device. The inner shell was fragile and linked to the outer shell so that when the inner shell broke, the outer shell would also shatter, signaling death. By then, they had nearly emerged from the Lianyun Mountains' outer forest and could see the bright light beyond, but the sunlight they expected never truly came. Instead of warmth, they felt an overwhelming surge of malice and killing intent pressing in from the open air ahead. Chapter 178. Delay in Killing. Outside the forest, more than a dozen figures hovered in the air or stood among the trees and grass. Black armor covered them from head to toe, helmet visors hid their faces, and heavy combat boots covered their feet. Some held shields and weapons, others had mind energy weapons hovering beside them. Malice and killing intent burned behind their visors as they coldly watched the 14 people streaming out of the forest, like predators eyeing prey. A total of 17 people, Li Qi reported, using his mind power to scan them. One universe rank 9th order, one universe rank 2nd order, the rest astral rank. How could they be here? The gray-robed elder muttered, his face darkening. Even if the double-sided turtle shell told them the assassin had died, they shouldn't have arrived so fast. Is there another possibility? Li Qi asked, glancing at the 9 adventurers with a measured sweep. They were here from the start. Here from the start? The gray-robed elder considered. Then his gaze flicked over the 9 adventurers. They came to silence us. Hearing that, Guangtou Dahan and the other 9 turned pale. Now they understood why the Abate family had agreed to their commission so readily and at such a high price. They had intended to silence them from the beginning. Caxiu Myers, I didn't expect you to survive, the universe-ranked 9th Order member declared, floating above them with his power on display. The masked man's eyes were ice-cold as they fixed on the young Caxiu, who stood protected at the center of the group. Universe rank peak martial artist, the gray-robed elder said. You are Salastur of the Abate family? It is I, Salastur admitted, still aloof. Caxiu? The young Myers stepped forward, furious. Do you know what you're doing? Of course I do, Salastur replied without emotion. Once I kill you, your father will have no choice but to place someone with the Abate bloodline as successor of the Myers family. As for you, dead, no matter how much Lord Kilong favored you, he will forget you in time. The dead cannot replace the living. His words, indifferent and shameless, enraged the young Caxiu. Salastur sneered. I wondered how you survived, he said, then glanced disdainfully at Guangtou Dahan and the others. So your adventurers betrayed you. Hey, Salastur! Guangtou Dahan shot forward and shouted, addressing Li Qi as he spoke. Don't listen to him. We are loyal guards of young Master Caxiu. There was no betrayal. No betrayal? Salastur mocked. Then why did you accept my commission at such a high price? We did it to test your intentions, Guangtou Dahan argued. Besides, you meant to silence us from the start and never intended to pay. Heh! Salastur's sneer deepened. He's stalling for time, Li Qi observed quietly. They have a beast tamer among them. Our location was exposed through a tamed beast, and they've used it to call their comrades. Those comrades are already on the way. What? The color drained from everyone's faces. They were no match for a universe-rank peak expert like Salastur alone. If the Abate reinforcements arrived, they'd be done for. Salastur is well known in Fengyan City, the gray-robed elder said. Though he never broke through to domain level, he's among the strongest universe rank in this territory. Among us, the only one who might challenge him is, the elder began, but he trailed off. The others understood. Their eyes involuntarily turned to Li Qi. Mr. Li, the young Caxiu said, urgently, we need your help. Please, Mr. Li, if you can get me back to Fengyan City alive, I'll ensure my father properly thanks you. My father is a domain-level expert, the young Caxiu added. He's not the city lord, but his master is world-level. Li Qi's eyes brightened imperceptibly. A territory lord-rank backer would make his bitter cultivator identity more credible on Blood Luo continent. It would be useful. He nodded. All right, I'll help. Salastur watched Caxiu and his group whisper and glance at Li Qi. He understood they were pinning their hopes on this unknown young man. Who are you, then? He transmitted, frowning beneath his mask. Why do you interfere in the private feud between the Abate family and Caxiu? Li Qi chuckled. I'm Li, just an ordinary bitter cultivator. An ordinary bitter cultivator? Salastur's tone turned condescending. If you are truly a bitter cultivator, you shouldn't interfere. If you don't interfere, I'll leave a small reward. No need, Li Qi replied evenly. I find young Caxiu pleasing to the eye, so I want to help him. So confident? Salastur dropped the honorific. If you're a domain-level expert, then fine. If you're just universe rank, then it's uncertain who will win. Have their reinforcements arrived? Li Qi asked suddenly. Salastur was puzzled. I don't like trouble, Li Qi said with a faint smile. I don't like people causing trouble for me, so I cut the grass and removed the roots. What? Salastur was unsettled. You were stalling for time? Li Qi's mind power swept the forest edges. 2 teams were arriving, each numbered around 20 and was led by a universe-rank commander. At last, he murmured, my patience paid off. What has arrived? The young Caxiu asked, puzzled. The Abate family's reinforcements, Li Qi said, nodding. You all protect yourselves. I'll handle them. The Abate family is here. What should we do? Guangtou Dahan demanded. Protect yourselves, Li Qi said with flat calm. Leave the rest to me. Whoosh! One by one, black blades rose from Li Qi's spatial ring and hovered around him. Not the dozen or so he'd produced earlier, but 81 black small swords, enough to unleash the breadth of his offensive secret techniques. The Abate reinforcements had arrived faster than they'd seemed, and now they saw not a slaughter already concluded by their family elder, but a standoff. Old Ancestor, they called, bowing respectfully towards Salastur in the sky. Salastur ignored them. He was deciding if Li Qi was really confident or merely bluffing. They'd chosen this assassination opportunity carefully. Their odds were decent. Success would bind the Myers family to the Abates and open limitless prospects. Salastur himself might even break through to domain level. Failure would mean massive losses or annihilation. His gaze hardened. The arrow was on the string. It had to be loosed. The young Coxiu was the legitimate son of Keelang, head of the Myers family and Salastuar's most favored target. If they let them go, they'd face Kalang's wrath, and their universe-rank family wouldn't survive that. Fortune or misfortune, today, Salastuar commanded. Act! At his command, the arriving Abat members raised their heads, cold and fierce. They surged forward like shadows, running, flickering, flying. Mind energy weapons became streaks of light that spearheaded the attack. Li Qi thought, and 27 of his black small swords shot out, twisting into a defensive formation like a black millstone that drank up light, intercepting the incoming weapons. Clang, clang, clang. The mind energy weapons were sliced or shattered by the black small swords of E-grade alloy, and several Abate Psyker Masters paled as their mind power was severely depleted. 2. Powerful, the gray-robed elder gasped. He was the only Psyker Master among them, and watched in horror as Li Qi effortlessly blocked the attacks of a universe rank and nearly 10 sky-level Psyker Masters. I told you, protect yourselves, Li Qi said. Then he stepped from the crowd, moved forward, and advanced dozens of meters. Black streaks of light darted around him like living things, one shooting out, another returning. He advanced again. 2 sky-level Abate martial artists charged him, each with shield and weapon. Die! They roared. 2 black streaks of light flew like bullets, piercing through the shields of the masked pair and through their skulls. Li Qi had already moved behind them. The streaks returned to his side. He advanced another dozen meters. Behind him, 2 dull thuds signaled bodies hitting the grass. Those 2 deaths were only the beginning. By the time he finished, more than 10 masked figures lay sprawled on the grass. Li, bitter cultivator Li, Salastuar thundered, watching his juniors die. Grief and fury warred in him. You are strong. What kind of skill is it to prey on the weak? Come fight me. Haven't I? A cold voice replied in his mind. Li Qi's figure flickered. He was less than 100 meters from Salastuar. With a roar, Salastuar charged, sword and shield blazing. Li Qi remained indifferent. 9 of his black small swords rushed forward. They resonated, merged, and instantly formed a black short sword that flashed like lightning. Whoosh! The black blade shot straight at Salastuar. What? Salastuar felt a dread he couldn't shake. He could not dodge this. Block it! He bellowed inwardly, raising his shield and activating the scant runes carved on it. The shield emitted a faint yellow glow. The black short sword struck, clang, and an explosive sound rolled across the grassland. The blow hammered through the shield, sending a shock through Salastuar's body. He tasted blood and was flung backward. The shield, one that could normally withstand domain-level assaults, had cracks. What is this? He spat through clenched teeth, incredulous. The black short sword struck again. The shield, already fractured, shattered with a thunderous crash. No! With his shield broken, Salastuar saw the blade coming. There was only a final helpless cry in his heart before the black short sword drove through his skull with a sickening thump. His body slumped. Gravity pulled him down to the grassland of Blood Luo continent. When the last of the Abate family fell, only Li Qi and Caxiu's group of 13 remained on the grass. Dozens of corpses lay under the sky, blood darkening the soil. The young Caxiu and his companions stared, stunned, at the bloody scene. Chapter 179, Confrontation and News about the Unknown Statue. Is this Mr. Li's strength? Even Salastuar, who's famous in Fengyan City, fell to a single blow from him. Young Master Caxiu stared blankly at the dozens of corpses scattered across the grassland, stunned. A bitter cultivator can really be this strong? That bitter cultivator Li is terrifying, Elder Lu thought, amazed. I've met many bitter cultivators in my years, but none of them had his power. Elder Lu had lived for tens of thousands of years, and though he rarely left Fengyan territory, had ample experience with cultivators of every stripe. He had never seen anyone like Li Qi. He even suspected Li Qi might be a domain-level expert. Otherwise, there was no way he could have cut Salastuar down so easily. A cold sweat ran down Elder Lu's back as he watched Salastuar die. If he hadn't prudently attached himself to young Master Caxiu as a retainer, he might have been killed too. Dozens of sky-level fighters and 6 Yunxiao-level experts, including Salastuar, a renowned peak Yunxiao-level warrior in Fengyan City, had been slaughtered in seconds by Li Qi, as casually as if they were animals. The remaining sky-level guards and adventurers recoiled in terror. Yunxiao-level cultivators had always seemed formidable, but now they looked like feeble prey to Li Qi. After finishing off the Abate family, Li Qi stood quietly, inwardly shaking his head. Celastur was fragile. I almost killed him instantly, he murmured. He hadn't even used any law or domain techniques, only a secret attack technique. If Celastur's shield hadn't partly blocked that first strike, the man would have died immediately. Li Qi also thought about his mind power. He had slightly underestimated how strong a 128-fold life gene level could make his mind power. A single mind power attack might now rival a 4th or 5th ranked territory lord. To avoid showing any obvious flaws, he used mind power to collect the fragments of Celastur's shield and stored them in his spatial ring. On the Blood Luo continent, being conspicuously powerful as an outsider could be hazardous. "Coxiu," Li Qi called. Coxiu flew over at once. "Mr. Li, any orders?" "Have your people clean up the battlefield," Li Qi said. "Everything except secret technique manuals and odd items is yours." "No, sir. You single-handedly wiped out the Abate family. If not for you, we'd all be dead. How can we take your spoils?" "If you insist," Li Qi replied coolly, "then I'll take everything." He smiled lightly. Coxiu finally yielded and sent a voice command to his guards and the hired adventurers to collect the gear. They swarmed over the bodies with enthusiasm. To be associated with a powerful man like Mr. Li was an honor. With many hands and Elder Lu's help as a psyker master, the battlefield was cleared quickly. Weapons and equipment were stuffed into captured storage wristbands and handed over to Li Qi. He didn't bother inspecting the items in front of the guards. He tucked the wristbands directly into his own spatial ring and said, "Let's go." Coxiu and his retinue bowed and resumed their flight toward Fengyin City. As they flew, Li Qi split his divine thought to examine the spoils in his ring. A book of legends about the Blood Luo continent caught his attention. It cataloged dangerous places, the Blood Demon Sea, the ancient god ruins, the Forbidden Domain Mountains, and discussed the Blood River crystals, continental treasures said to be gifts of spiritual gods. The book claimed the immortal shrine distributed them, that territory lords must fuse one to qualify to govern a territory, that world-level experts needed one to rule a Cloud Bay world city, that fusing 3 created the legendary Blood Warriors, and that fusing 10 created a Black Warrior, born once in countless years. Li Qi's thoughts turned private. Those Blood River crystals weren't gifts of the native undying spiritual gods, he mused. They were likely the remnants of a fallen gold beast god, treasures that the continent's natives had learned to manufacture. Fusing 3 could grant Blood Luo power. Fusing 10 would transform a cultivator completely. Even among humans, they were priceless. Half an hour later, they arrived at Fengyin City. As the center of a territory spanning tens of millions of square kilometers, Fengyin was vast. City walls 300 to 400 meters high that looked like an unending azure mountain range. Above the Grand Gate Tower hung 3 enormous characters, Fengyin City. Beneath them, a 100-meter-high, nearly 200-meter-wide gate opened onto a bluestone avenue where armored guards collected entrance fees. As Li Qi and Coxiu neared the gate, the guards cleared the avenue and began shouting, "Make way! Young Master Coxiu returns." People were hustled aside as guards formed ranks. "Young Master Coxiu! Young Master Coxiu!" they called in unison, escorting them through with great ceremony. Elder Lu sent a bag of bow coins from his storage band to the captain of the gate guards via mind power. The captain accepted it with both hands and bowed deeply. "Thank you for the reward, young Master Coxiu." Every guard echoed the thanks. An hour later, they reached the Myers family residence, a sprawling estate with an imposing main gate. "Mr. Li," Coxiu said with a bright smile as he led Li Qi inside, "welcome to the Myers family." Li Qi inclined his head and followed. "Elder Lu," Coxiu added, "please tell my father about today. Don't go after Zhuomike and the others." Elder Lu and the 9 guards who had escorted Coxiu were done with their task and parted ways. "Understood, young master," Elder Lu said, bowed, and left. Coxiu took Li Qi on a short tour of the mansion and arranged comfortable lodgings for him. In the patriarch's study, Elder Lu stood respectfully as he recounted the day's events to Kelang, a middle-aged man who looked like an older version of Coxiu. When Elder Lu finished, Kelang sat in silence for a moment. If Kaxiu doesn't want to pursue this, neither will we, Kelang said finally. Report this to the city lord's mansion and wipe out the Abate family, and dispose of Shilube and her 2 children as well. Elder Lu nodded without surprise. Among Kelang's many children, only Kaxiu mattered. What about Mr. Li? Kelang asked. Kaxiu brought him back, didn't he? Yes, Patriarch. See that he is well received. Once the Abate matter is settled, I'll thank him personally. Good. Kelang dismissed him. While Elder Lu left, Kelang murmured fiercely under his breath, I promised you no one will harm my child. Later that evening, a maid knocked at Li Qi's door. Mr. Li, the Patriarch wishes to meet you. Now we'll be fine, Li Qi replied, and she led him to a small pavilion in a garden. Kelang rose as Li Qi approached. Li Qi sensed his strength immediately, a 3rd-ranked territory lord. I am Kelang, Kaxiu's father and patriarch of the Myers family, the man said, motioning to a seat. He regarded Li Qi carefully and then smiled. Call me Kelang. Thank you for saving my son. If not for you, Kaxiu would be dead. Li Qi bowed. You're too kind. I did what had to be done. Kelang poured a glass of Yunyan, a famous Cloud Bay vintage. Wisps of mist curled above the wine. Li Qi sniffed and tasted it. His eyes brightened. Good wine, he said. Under Manli's tutelage, he had begun to appreciate food and drink. You're a connoisseur, Kelang chuckled, pouring another cup. To kill Salastur so quickly, you must be strong. Your background must be impressive. Li Qi waved the suggestion aside. It wasn't that I'm so great. Salastur was weak. I'm still learning. Otherwise, I wouldn't be traveling. Kelang's smile softened with interest. You mentioned you gained something while traveling? Just a mural, Li Qi replied. I learned a few things from it. He finished his wine. Kelang's interest sharpened. I have a friend who found something similar, Kelang said. He obtained a mysterious statue but hasn't gained any insight from it. Li Qi's heart skipped. A statue? Yes, a beast god statue, Kelang answered. Do you remember what your mural looked like? Li Qi considered, then nodded. It was abstract, like a leaf. Do you remember where the mural was? Kelang pressed. Not precisely, Li Qi admitted. I only recall it was in a mountain range, and that when I came out, I was in Yanggang territory. Yanggang territory. Kelang repeated the name slowly, storing it in his mind. Did the mural have any writing? Li Qi frowned and then recalled. There were words beside it, but they were blurred by time. I think it said the mural was left by a domain-level or even a world-level expert. At that, Kelang's demeanor changed, interest dimmed somewhat. Such provenance would make the mural extremely significant or dangerous. Kelang took a storage bracelet from his person and presented it to Li Qi. This contains bao coins from the Abat family's assets. Accept it as thanks for saving Kaxiu. Li Qi nodded and accepted the bracelet. He pocketed the bao coins and rose to leave, his mind already turning over the connection between the mural and the beast god statue. The mention of Yanggang territory and the garbled inscription lingered in his thoughts like a lead thread to follow. Chapter 180, Blood Demon Seawater and the Broken Claw Statue. After a probing conversation with Kelang, Li Qi returned to his guest room. He sat down, picked up a pastry, and chewed thoughtfully, turning over the information he'd gleaned. The beast-shaped statue Kelang had mentioned nagged at him. From Kelang's expression when he brought it up, the man he called a friend might not be a friend at all. He could even be an enemy. Then again, he might truly be a friend. To find out, Li Qi decided to start with the young Kaxiu and see whether he could learn who owned that strange statue. 2 days later, Li Qi had someone tell the young Kaxiu that he intended to visit Fengyin City Market to look for curiosities. As expected, Kaxiu showed up. Mr. Li, I heard you want to go to the market, he said. Yes, Li Qi replied. I want to browse and see if anything catches my eye. I have nothing else to do, Kaxiu smiled. If you like, I'll take you. Li Qi returned the smile. Then I'll trouble you, Kaxiu. They went together to one of Fengyin City's markets. As the main city of the Fengyin territory, which stretches across tens of millions of kilometers, Fengyin has dozens of markets. The one they chose wasn't crowded. According to Kaxiu, its wares were expensive and included many unique and rare items, priced far beyond what ordinary people could afford. After the near accident outside the city the last time, Kaxiu had increased his escort by 2 peak Yunxiao-level martial artists and a female psyker master had taken the place of the gray-robed elder. Caxiu led Li Qi to a 9-story building and grinned. "This place will definitely interest you, Mr. Li." Li Qi looked up. "What's special about it?" "This is the Fengling Pavilion, the best antique shop in Fengyin City," Caxiu said. "They deal in rare items, things from dangerous places like the ancient god ruins and the blood demon sea often turn up here." Intrigued, Li Qi went inside. Their arrival attracted the attention of a man with a single horn who presided over the main hall. He came forward at once. "Young Master Caxiu, what an honor. Welcome." "This is Mr. Li," Caxiu introduced. "I brought him because your pavilion has many rare items." The one-horned man glanced at Li Qi and, though puzzled by the youthfully appearing guest, greeted him politely. "Welcome to Fengling Pavilion. I heard you have rare things. Could you show them to me?" Li Qi asked. "Right this way, gentlemen," the one-horned man said. He led them to an elevator-like lift and took them to the 8th floor. The 8th floor had a luxurious reception room. After inviting them to sit, the one-horned man had pastries and drinks served. A pretty maid stepped forward carrying a metal tray covered with a red cloth. "This item came from the ancient god ruins," she announced. "It belongs to an extraterrestrial race, extremely sharp." The one-horned man added, "It's made of a metal never before seen on the Blood Luo continent." He pulled off the cloth and revealed a small, thin sliver of white metal, etched with tiny secret patterns, apparently a fragment of a weapon. Caxiu shook his head. "Too ordinary," he said before Li Qi could speak. "Other than the origin, it's not much different from other weapon fragments." Li Qi agreed inwardly. As someone with access to the Virtual Universe Corporation's primitive mystical region, he'd seen far more impressive pieces. The one-horned man dismissed the maid, but another came forward with a tray covered with a red cloth. "This item is from a dangerous place on our continent, the Blood Demon Sea." The cloth came off. On the tray sat a transparent jade bottle, about 10 centimeters tall, filled with a viscous, blood-red liquid that pulsed with an otherworldly sheen. As the room gazed at it, the liquid seemed to draw them in. It felt as if countless people were locked in endless slaughter inside the bottle. Caxiu frowned. "What is this?" "This is blood demon seawater," the one-horned man said, "a rare item." Li Qi was interested. "Where did it come from?" "The blood demon sea," the one-horned man said. "Specifically, this is water from the inner sea." Caxiu nodded slowly, understanding. "That explains the strange feeling." "How much for the bottle?" Caxiu asked. The one-horned man held up 3 fingers. 300 bao coin, he said. Caxiu scoffed. "That's a good price." "It's not 300, the dealer corrected. 3,000. Caxiu's frown deepened. "Too expensive." "It's not 3,000. The dealer smiled tightly. 30,000 bao coin. 30,000! Caxiu was surprised. "Why is it so costly?" Li Qi listened as the dealer explained. On the Blood Luo world, currency comes in blade coins, small, red, medium, black, and large, green. Above them is the purple bao coin. Each step is 1,000 times the previous. If this jade bottle truly contained inner sea water, the price made sense. Water from the inner sea is far harder to obtain and transport to Fengyin territory than ordinary blood demon seawater. 30,000 bao coin, Li Qi said. "I'll buy it." Before Li Qi could pay, Caxiu tried to intervene. "Charge it to me," he said, turning to the one-horned man. "Consider this my gift to you, Mr. Li." Li Qi waved him off. "I just made a large sum. You don't have to buy it for me. If I see anything else I like, then by all means." Caxiu accepted the refusal with a nod. The dealer beamed. Li Qi's interest and Caxiu's willingness to pay were both flattering. He brought out more trays, each with curios rarer than the last, but none impressed Li Qi. Caxiu found some interesting, but still nothing special. The dealer grew anxious and, after an internal struggle, decided to produce the pavilion's most prized treasure. "Gentlemen," he said at last, "this is a prized treasure. We acquired it at great cost." Caxiu leaned forward. "Show us." Li Qi didn't probe the object with mind power. He wanted to be surprised by what he could see firsthand. The one-horned man left briefly and returned carrying a tray cloaked in a red cloth. The cloth bulged slightly, suggesting the item was small. He dismissed the maids and, with a flourish, uncovered it. "This is the Fengling Pavilion's prized treasure." When the cloth dropped, Li Qi was immediately drawn in. On the tray lay a grayish-white object a few centimeters long. a broken claw statue, the severed talon of a desolate beast. The cross-section was unnaturally smooth, as if polished by unknown forces. Tiny scale-like patterns ran along the claw in neat layers. The tip branched into 5 hooked talons, all razor-sharp. Something about the scales held a quiet, magnetic attraction. Caxiu stared at it, murmuring, "This feels familiar. I feel like I've seen it before." The one-horned man's face went pale at Caxiu's reaction. "Young Master Caxiu, are you all right?" he asked too quickly. Li Qi watched the dealer closely. The man's nervousness told him there was more to the statue than met the eye. Still, Li Qi kept calm. Caxiu shook his head and addressed him. "Mr. Li, what do you think of it?" "It's a fine piece, very unique," Li Qi replied. "I plan to buy it." The one-horned man recovered and beamed. "You have excellent taste, Mr. Li. Since it's for young Master Caxiu, I'll be generous. 1,000,000 bao coin." Caxiu paled. To put that in perspective, renting the best room at Fengyan's Top Inn costs 1 bao coin a year. 1,000,000 bao coin would secure generations of comfort. 1,000,000 is too much, Caxiu protested. "Then what price do you propose?" the dealer asked. Caxiu hesitated, about to offer a rock-bottom counter, when Li Qi unexpectedly spoke. 100,000 bao coin. Caxiu blinked. He'd been ready to cut the price, but Li Qi's offer was ruthless. The dealer's expression flickered between disbelief and greed. 100,000? He echoed. Li Qi's voice was steady. "That's my final offer." The dealer's face turned darker for a moment, then he forced a smile. "A loss is better than losing both the customer and the money," he muttered. "Sold. 100,000 it is." With the sale finalized, the prized broken claw statue changed hands.